Live. Good to have you with us, and good that we made it through yet another week. Of course, we're going to throughout this broadcast with us on the streaming service here. Of course, we're monitoring the latest in the Colin Gray case there in Carrollton County. This is some video from earlier as he took the stand. This is the first day that the defense is up. But other things that we're working on, we're going to tell you a little bit about an event that's happening tomorrow. It's called the Love Gala, and it is something that a group of young adults coming together to give back there. And of course, we'll get you caught up on what's trending throughout the day. But again, we want to get back to our big story of the hour. We've been following this all throughout the morning, and that is the trial of Colin Gray as he has taken the stand here. This is some video from earlier. Right now, monitoring when court will be back. Right now, they took a recess for lunch, but we really heard a lot of emotional testimony from him as he's standing trial and testifying in his own defense there. He is the first witness that the defense called up this morning after the state rested their case yesterday. He spent the morning, really hours, highlighting his family life, his upbringing, his married life, jobs, and that type of thing. And then around 11:15, 11:30, the defense attorney asked him to describe the day of the actual shooting. He says that he did not know that this was going to happen on that day. He talks about Colt Gray and really their relationship there. A big question was about the guns. People asking, why did he bring the guns? Why didn't he do anything once he saw a behavioral change with the guns? He says he just did not know that his son was capable of something. And he also talked about his daughter, who we saw on the stand earlier this week, who testified she saw some signs and warning signs there and some violence that happened. When I was in the courtroom, I believe that was Wednesday, we heard an interview that she did the day after that shooting happened. She describes Colt Gray wrapping that gun in some sort of a poster board, taking it onto the bus, and then she later found out that it was a gun that was used in this horrific incident at Appalachia High back in 2024. Again, the defense is making a case here. We believe they want to prove that although Colin Gray might have suspected something, he did not know that his son would be capable of something like this. They're trying to prove that, he did everything he could in getting his son help when it came to the incidents before that September incident there. I want you to listen to, this is when the defense asked Colin Gray if he knew that if his son would be capable of something, and we see really some emotions in this. Take a listen.
You can remember any red flag or anything that Colt did that would make you believe that he would ever be capable of doing this act?
No, I struggle with it every day. I've never seen that video until yesterday. He's a good kid. He wasn't perfect, nor was I. But to do something that heinous, like I don't know if anybody could ever see that kind of evil. And like the Colt I knew, a relationship I had, there's this whole other side of Colt I didn't know existed. So, no.
And if we can, I believe court is back. I do think we have a camera there. If we can take that live at some point as they're coming back from recess, I believe Colin Gray will continue to the stand here to testify in this case. This is a live look here. So the defense has ended. This is a state prosecutor that will now cross-examine Colin Gray in this case here. And what we are probably going to see is them asking questions and trying to refute claims from Marcy, who is Colt's mother, and also the daughter, who is Colt's sister. They were on the stand saying that, that they told Colin Gray that he needed help. They also said that, they saw the signs, and we're going to probably hear the state really press those issues. Earlier this morning, Colin Gray really kind of defending some of that, saying although he saw some of the signs, he believes he did everything possible. So, of course, we'll be listening in throughout that to see just exactly what it said. said, Ray Urena is in the courtroom. He'll join the streaming in the 2 and 3 o'clock hours as we really monitor in. Of course, this is a big day for the defense, and this is probably the biggest witness that we can see there in this particular case. Of course, this is his trial or the trial against him, and so we'll continue to follow that throughout this streaming service. If anything happens, of course, we will let you know. We want to give you an update on another story that we have been following. Last weekend, we saw hundreds of teens take over the Battery. Yesterday, I told you about 17 arrests that took place, a curfew happening at Cumberland Mall. Well, within the past 30 minutes, Cobb County police say that they have arrested 2 additional 17-year-olds. They will be charged as an adult, and that they are some of the organizers in this as well there. So 2 more arrested in this Cobb takeover here. This is some video. We were out there. Our Any Map was there, and we just saw a herd of teens out there, to be frank with you, just everywhere. Some of them were dancing behind her live shot. At some point, we thought we might have to pull her back because they were on one over that weekend there. Well, we know Cobb County Police, Murder Police, Cobb County Sheriff, they were alert and aware of this. I talked with the county commissioner just yesterday. He says that is one of the reasons they were able to kind of put a kibosh on this so quickly, because they monitored them for a minute. You know, they're not against teens coming together, but when it crosses that line of becoming destructive and not constructive, that is when they step in. And of course, you know, I asked, where are these parents? That is something that the question continues to know, or they continue to ask there. There is another floating around teen takeover for Cumberland Mall this weekend, and Cumberland Mall has come out to put 3 p.m. curfew for anyone 17 and under. And there's another one 2 weeks planned from now at Six Flags. That might not happen, as a lot of those organizers have been arrested as well. This is something that you guys are talking about, that UGA instructor who has been floating around there having some sort of inappropriate relationship with someone minor. Here's a statement that we just got, and I'm going to read it with you. The individual involved in this incident has been terminated from employment by UGA there. They also go on to say that he's been barred from campus. Just kind of paraphrasing, they say that he was on a limited term contract. They believe he fled the country late Tuesday night there, but they said he has been terminated. They say he was some sort of instructor that was on a limited term contract. We have at Fox 5 have decided not to show that video of a confrontation that's been floating around, and we have not identified, because UGA and police have not identified that name as well. But we wanted to give you that update, as that UGA instructor has been fired from the campus there, barred from the campus, and now he has fled the country. We do know University of Georgia police investigating this as well. Let me tell you, it's been a busy morning here at Fox 5 as we've been following some of the stories, and that's just a little smidge of what we've been working on. I want to bring in Tanya Mendoza at the desk there. Tanya, what are some of our reporters working on and gathering?
Well, Eric, I want to start off with some breaking news we just got, and I'm actually going to turn my head and read this statement from Georgia Tech. If you were around Georgia Tech this morning and saw a bunch of fire trucks, this is what happened. Georgia Tech spokesperson tells us a small nitrogen tank pipe sprung, a small leak outside the Georgia Tech structures building in the North Avenue area, and that's like a research area. They said there was no fire, no injuries. The area is still evacuated, but that should be ending soon. Our Billy Heath, one of our stellar photographers, was out there, and he gathered some video for us and showed the scene. The Atlanta Fire Department did say that they responded to the structure's laboratory following reports of a liquid nitrogen release from the exterior storage tank on the left side of the building. So that happened this morning, and everything should be ending soon. So that's good news out at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, you know, that's such a busy area, Tanya. That's such a busy area out there. I did talk on the phone earlier with a spokesperson with Georgia Tech. The good news here, there's no injuries there, and that evacuation, they say, was a precaution. Our Angelique Proctor, I heard she was on a shooting that involves a woman in Southwest Atlanta. Talk us through that story. Of course, we've heard so many different instances with shooting, and our Angelique has been on one after another this week, it seems like.
That's right. Angelique Proctor went out to the neighborhood in Southwest Atlanta, better known as the Ben Hill neighborhood. A house on Greenleaf Circle around 6 a.m. Is the center of this kind of crime scene out there. Basically, what she is told by police that at around 6 a.m., neighbors heard about 15 to 20 gunshots fired directly at that residence, that White House we just showed on the screen. A victim was identified as a woman who was shot in the neck during the gunfire and transported to Grady Memorial Hospital. Police say that while she's shot to the neck, she is stable but critical, I believe is the latest that they said. Our cameras were there in the morning, showed heavy police presence with several houses blocked off. Angelique is out there speaking to neighbors about this. And one thing about Angelique, like you were saying, she's been on a lot of these crime scenes through the years. She's been a reporter in the metro Atlanta area for over 30 years. So she knows all these neighborhoods inside and out. And I believe she was actually grew up in Southwest Atlanta. So what she tells me is that this neighborhood is usually peaceful and quiet. This kind of stuff does not happen there. So neighbors are extremely concerned. They're talking to her about what they heard last night, and she'll have a report on this story later on at 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, Tanya, it's one of those things to where, of course, not only does she know the neighborhood, but it's so important that the neighborhood, the people there, she's been in statue here in the community, that relationship comes in handy. She's always able to find a family. I don't know how she's able to do it, but she finds it there. All right, let's go to Hall County. You know, when it comes to schools, and one thing you don't want to hear, especially as a parent, is that a gun was found at a school. Talk us through that story.
That's right. Yesterday at Myers Elementary in Hall County, we were told by the sheriff's office that an 8-year-old second grader brought a handgun into the school and showed it to a classmate. The school principal and SRO acted quickly to confiscate the weapon, which had a loaded magazine, but no round in the chamber. So we're following up on that because this morning we were emailed by a group called Moms for Metal Detectors based in Gainesville. They're outraged about what happened, and they're talking to our reporter, Rob DiRienzo, about a recent bill that the Georgia House passed, House Bill 1023, a bill that would mandate weapon detectors in all public schools, including elementary schools. So we'll be hearing from that group of moms today. Rob will have a full report later on.
All right, let's end on a high note there. We know that a K9 is back on the job there. Walk us through that. I think we all need something positive on this Friday as we head into the weekend.
That's right. Okay, you're seeing that video right there. That is K9 Robbie out of Coweta County. He is officially back on duty. Robbie was struck by a car on February 11th while chasing down a bank robbery suspect in Noonan. After 2 weeks of recovery at the Sweetwater Veterinary Hospital, his minor abrasions have healed, and he was cleared to be back on the job today. Our Doug Evans will be in Coweta County following him around on his first day back. But I do want to mention, this is why this story is even more important to the people in Coweta County. He has a history there. Robbie was the K9 partner for Deputy Eric Minks, who was killed in the line of duty 2 years ago. So seeing Robbie back in a patrol car is a powerful reminder of the resilience to the Coweta County community and this dog's history there.
All right, Tanya, before we go, what story stuck out to you this week? I know it's been a very busy week, but quickly, any stories kind of stuck out to you in your mind there?
Well, we were talking about Angelique Proctor and the child that was killed this week. That was really sad, that story. We're hoping to have updates on that. Just, you know, that one was so big that the police chief went out and held a press conference. So it's a big deal to the Atlanta Police Department, and in that neighborhood, you know, neighbors are demanding answers. So hopefully we'll have an update on that soon.
Yeah, it's one of those things, as the police department should be outraged. Any person shot, of course, is something we don't want to hear. But when it comes to an innocent little girl like that, such a promising future, I think that's something that has really stuck to a lot of people, a lot of our viewers. When I've been out in the community, I think that's something that's really impacted them. So hopefully we can find whoever is responsible.
Yeah. Eric, I do want to mention one more thing. You were talking about the takeover at the Battery and the new charges, the riot charges. So that's a big deal. They've apprehended apprehended a lot of people. I think that's sending a serious message for these teen takeovers that are now popping up. I'll be interested to see how, once this plays out in court, how, will these charges stick? But it does appear to be really serious and send a warning to people who may want to try to set up events like this in the future.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make an example out of people, and I think that's exactly what Cobb County is doing to hopefully put a squash on this one. Tanya Mendoza, thanks so much. All right, if you noticed, it was quite rainy over the weekend, and that caused some flooding across metro Atlanta. Take a look at some of this video here as it really went down. This is on Far Road in Northeast Atlanta and Peachtree Road. Multiple cars were stuck there, and it doesn't take that much. They say the water was only about a knee deep. All right, let's bring in Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Jonathan Stacy here. All right, Jonathan. Okay, glasses. I love the glasses there. But walk us through. The rain might be behind us, and that's some good news.
Yep, I think we're done with the rain at this point. There could be a random drop that falls from the sky because we still have some thick clouds around as we get deeper into the afternoon, going into the evening. But by and large, the weekend is here, and we're about to welcome in some really nice and bright conditions. So as we take a look at your forecast for the weekend, we're just going to dive right in. I like the way things are looking here. Saturday, the final day of February, what a finale. We're going to end with temperatures in the high 60s, 68 degrees. Up to the north and to the west of the city, you'll easily climb into the lower 70s, but you are not left out for long the rest of North Georgia, because by Sunday we all reach into the mid 70s. So it should be a very unseasonably warm start to the month of March. That's March 1st, where we should typically be around 62 degrees for a high. By the middle of the month, 66, and then 70 for the final day of March, March 31st. Nonetheless, we're going to be in the 70s tomorrow.
Nice.
And possibly, for sure, Sunday, more of a possibility for tomorrow. So in terms of the 6 to 10 day outlook as we get deeper into the month of March, is this just kind of a trick or a trend? Well, it appears to be a trend. The 6 to 10 day outlook with the temperature shows that the numbers are going to be hot around our neck of the woods. We'll likely have more afternoons in the 60s and the 70s, which is unseasonable for this time of the year. There's also an uptick in rain chances based on what we're seeing here. We'll likely have some heavier and higher amounts of rain for the month of March, which is needed, especially considering that we got a washing yesterday that was very bountiful, but not enough to dig us out of a drought. In terms of the remainder of the day, you can see a few passing showers are in the picture, mainly out to the east of I-85 to the south, but I don't even think that's going to happen. We'll drop down to about 50 degrees tonight, and then that will kick off what should be a very, very nice weekend. Temperatures on either side of the 50-degree mark to start the day, with clouds in the morning, some misty spots out there, along with maybe some pockets of fog, but the clouds don't stick around for long. We're into the high 60s by the end of the day, and then we'll look for 70s on Sunday with plenty of sunshine, more clouds for the afternoon.
I know, and that's that big Publix race that's happening this weekend, so I'm sure the runners are excited for that one.
I know, yeah, it's a nice running forecast, and I think with the cold front being past us, it won't be kind of dewy out there, because we're already starting to feel those dew points creep up as the humidity rises. Right. Not this weekend, though.
Good. Jonathan Stacy, thanks so much. All right, so we always ask what the next generation's doing, what are college kids doing? Well, coming up, we're going to introduce you to someone who is really making an impact in the community, and there's a gala happening this weekend. We'll talk to Noah McQueen after the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Friday. I am Eric Perry there. Food insecurity is so real for so many people across the country, but specifically for our veterans. Well, one veteran is stepping up to help his brothers and sisters. Our Eli Jordan has more on a food pantry that is going to be so useful to so many people.
Hey, that's right. I'm in Riverdale at the Riverdale Town Center, where there has been a food drive happening since 11 a.m. this morning. It is moving pretty fast, but it's pretty cool. They got enough food for 200 families, and they are just dishing it out of here. They got a lot of volunteers going on. And with me right now is the organizer, Mr. Charles Jenkins. Hey, Mr. Charles Jenkins, how you doing today?
How you doing, Mr. Eli?
I'm all right. Thanks for talking with me. Just tell me, your group, CSM.
Yes, this is CSM Angels Refuge. Yes, and we are a veteran and homeless nonprofit that we serve the Atlanta metro area.
And so tell me, what is going on out here today?
Well, today is one mission that we do, and it is our quarterly community food giveaway, and we're hosting it here at the City of Riverdale Town Center is where we're at. And with this food drive, it starts at 11, and it normally runs pretty quick, but we have sponsors that supports us. Is the Atlanta Community Food Bank, which is out here. They always support our food pantries, our food giveaways. We have we have PepsiCo, which is a donor and supporter of us, and we have Kroger that has provided protein for us today. So those are our donors for today, and we always just try to show a labor of love to the community. Even though we're a veteran and homeless foundation, our primary mission is to go out into the streets and engage those that are displaced. We meet them where they are, and we help them move from the situation that they're in. The first thing that we do is make sure that they have credentials. If they don't, we have the Department of Driver Services, which is out here today as well.
Okay.
And we get them identification cards, and from there we make sure that we find emergency shelter. If we can't find a shelter, we put them in a hotel for short periods of stay.
So CSM Angels Refuge is doing this.
Yes.
And so about this food drive, you say this is quarterly event,
Yes,
right?
this is a quarterly event that we do right now.
But is it always here at the Riverdale Town Center?
No, it's not. We host them at Riverdale Town Center. We've been doing this for 5 years. I think this is our third one here. We also serve and use South Fulton, Old National Highway. We use Clayton County, Jonesboro, which is the City International Park. We held one there in December.
And so how much food are you hitting in each vehicle? I guess what I'm trying to say is, how big is a family meal?
A family meal here may consist of, for today, ravioli. We're giving them a case of ravioli for a family. We're giving them 6 jars of peanut butter, 6 jars of jelly. We're giving them a box of pancake mix that they have. And then we're giving them cases of Gatorade. They get a case of Gatorade. We're giving them a pack of chicken. Protein is what we have today from Kroger. So that kind of completes it. But the meals each time kind of varies.
So this is a quarterly thing. If I'm watching this and I missed it today because you guys are going by fast. It looks like,
it goes pretty quick.
Yeah, and so tell me, how can I get informed to catch the next one?
You can go to csmangelsrefuge.org and sign on and look for our event page, and it'll tell you what we're doing for our upcoming events.
CSM Angels Refuge.
CSM Angels Refuge. Yes.
.org. CSMAngelsRefuge.org.
Yeah.
And then go there and check it out.
Yes, sir.
And so tell me, when do you expect the next one to be?
The next one is probably going to be April, May. April, May, because we got a couple of folks that want to partner with us, and we're just trying to make sure that we clarify the date that we're going to do it.
Gotcha.
Coordinate it.
Well, awesome. Well, this is an awesome event you guys going on, and if you guys have missed it today, you can also go to csmangelsrefuge.org and catch when the next one will be. But that's what's been happening. I've been speaking with Charles Jenkins, who is the founder and president of CSM Angels Refuge, and like I said, csmangelsrefuge.org. You can check out more information for the next one. Back to you guys.
All right, that was Eli Jordan out there. Food insecurity, so important. So love to see veterans helping other veterans. Really, they need our help. And of course, we appreciate their service. Well, speaking of service, getting involved with, you're in college. When many people are in college, you're not thinking about giving back. But this young man has been doing that. He's dedicated his life to service. We're bringing in Noah McQueen here, who's over the Love organization. First of all, thanks for joining us, Noah. Good to have you with us on this Friday.
Yes, sir. Of course. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, walk us through, what does love? This isn't L-U-V, this is L-O-V is how it's spelled.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So love is lifting our voices. We started in 2020, really birthed out of the pandemic, really trying to make a difference in community. We started in my basement, funny enough. And I was a recent graduate from Morehouse College. And the goal originally was to just help one person on my street. At the time, I was impacted by COVID, just like the rest of the world. And I really wanted to find a space to kind of help people where I felt most comfortable and felt most safe. And as a Bonner Scholar at Morehouse College, that's literally what I did all the time, and where I felt a lot of my safety at. And, when the pandemic happened, things kind of just went left for the whole world. And I wanted to start where, I knew best, which was at home, in community, and helping one person. And that one person turned into the entire block and street, defeating that neighborhood in the Burbank area. And then we went from Burbank to Los Angeles and feeding people in Skid Row, feeding people in Chicago, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Orlando, Miami. And it kind of just had a groundswell all led by young people and college students. So love birthed literally out of just trying to love the next person, help the next person. And now we've given out, 125,000 meals across the country. So.
Because through, in the intro into this, I was talking about a lot of college kids really, it's not what they're thinking about. They're thinking about partying and all that type of thing. How important is it for the youth to get involved? I mean, it's something so small. I remember talking with you. I did an event with you guys a couple of years ago, but just peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, packing lunches an hour or two out of a Saturday. How important is it for the youth to get involved and to give back to the community?
It's so important, I think, just for the simple fact that, one, our future, our young people is our future. And the fact that young people can lead the charge and see that they can make a difference every day, and that you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to have a big budget, and that literally just getting together for a few hours a day, you can feed 500 people, and, being consistent, doing that work and doing it over a span of time. Even tomorrow, young people are feeding hundreds of people in the neighborhood. And, the beautiful thing about that is, when you look to your neighbor, you look to your left, you look to your right, we can kind of find out the way we can make a difference in community right here, right now. And we don't have to wait till tomorrow. We don't have to wait till we're older. And I think it's really cool for college students, high school students. I always tell people our youngest volunteer we've ever had was 3 years old, but our oldest volunteer was 84. So the spectrum of service is really open for everybody. So seeing young people make a difference at every level and be able to do it nationally and do it at a high level and feed people every single Saturday in the city of Atlanta, it's a beautiful thing.
All right, I'm going to brag on you just a little bit, one of the first members of President Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative there. Walk us through the event tomorrow. I know you guys are getting ready for a big event, a big gala that's happening tomorrow. Walk us to it, and what do you want people who go to it, what do you want them to leave with? What is that message you want to resonate with them?
Yeah, the It's All Love Gala is a really big day. We're celebrating, like I said, 125,000 meals given out across the nation. We also do a toiletry drive for people experiencing homelessness, clothing drive, anything that the community really needs, we try to support. And like I said, the young people, we have 10 chapters across the nation. They're doing amazing work and just making sure that their community is served, right? And being a part of the MBK, My Brother's Keeper program as a high schooler really changed my life, right? It gave me the confidence to understand what leadership looks like at the highest level. It also gave me the ability to understand what coalition building looks like, as well as what it looks like to lead with empathy and lead with love, no matter what position and status you are. And I think President Obama was a great indication of that, right? What it looks like to just have so much integrity and engagement with young people. And he really took us under his wing and that whole entire cohort. And so as I'm leading an organization for young people, it's kind of funny because, in some ways I feel like I'm still young in spirit, with them as well, but I'm watching them how they're solving, innovating, and creating new ways to solve problems every day, and it drives me. And so the It's All Love Gala is about not just the young generation making a difference, but how all generations come together and make a difference in the city of Atlanta. And we've been doing it so effectively in the last 6 years, but I'm excited about what we're going to do in the next 10, 15. And as you know, in the city of Atlanta, young people in the Atlanta City movement has really changed the world, right where we are. So I think we got a good blueprint. We got a good example from, our forefathers, the C.T. Vivians, the Andy Youngs, the Martin Luther King, to, Joseph Lowry's. So I think as young people in this area, we have to pick up that mantle and hone homelessness is the one that, our organization choose to focus on, fight, and make a difference every day.
When you are with your community, when you're having the events, what's something that, resonates with you? What do you take away from all of this? I know it's not about you, it's about the community, but what are some of the messages that it's taught you just as a man, as a person, and as a community member?
Honestly, a lot of humility. And it also teaches me just the power of doing something, right? And I think sometimes in the world, you can cut on any station or scroll and you can kind of just feel overwhelmed about everything happening, right? You can feel helpless. You can feel like, my one act of kindness may not make a difference. My one community event may not, shift the globe. But I think between the humility piece and figuring out how a loving and kind spirit can really, change a generation. I think, Sandwich Run, Lifting Our Voices, it literally started with just trying to feed one person in the community, trying to help somebody beside you. And everybody else kind of felt that way too, in some of our darkest days as a world. And I think this is a beautiful testimony too. When you're feeling like you're alone or you're feeling like this is a desolate space, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, a lot of times, you could pull yourself up by just helping others. And so when we go out there and feed people every single Saturday, it's a reminder about, one, how good God is, and two, about how if you build with people in a loving and kind way, an intentional way, and you build programs and systems and something that allows, everybody to be involved, right? Not just a certain age group, but we accept everybody, all hues, races, colors and creed. And I think that's the beautiful thing about love. And we've been able to do it so effectively to this point. So it's a humbling experience to be a leader of an organization like this, but it's also humbling to watch young leaders grow and develop. And I've seen a lot of great young leaders grow and develop over the last 6 years, and they're doing major things across the world. So I get to get a chance to be a great part of that story. And I hope in the next 15, 20 years, we continue to do that, an amazing work in Atlanta.
Well, McQueen, thanks so much for joining us. And we're going to have to end it there, but I'm going to leave you with this one thing. We've been looping a picture over, and there's one with some Greek organizations in there. You need to find you a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, the best fraternity out there, to add to that picture there. That's my only thing I'm going to tell you.
We do need some good news. So the news out there, we'd love for you guys to serve with us, volunteer with us every Saturday. We're in the city of Atlanta, making a difference and feeding people experiencing homelessness.
All right, absolutely. We'll put more information about the Love, L-O-V organization on our website. Yes, Noah McQueen, really a great representation of the youth and the generation under us, coming up, doing great work. Thanks so much. All right, stick with Fox 5. We will be right back after this break. welcome back on this Friday. If you're just now joining us, hey, welcome into the conversation here. I'm Eric Perry for Fox 5 News Live. We want to get to some stories across the nation, across the country that we're really looking at right now. Well, Bill Clinton earlier today testified in a committee, House Oversight Committee, that he is cooperating in the Epstein investigation. Let's get you to a live look. This is outside of where this is happening here. I'm going to read a couple of things. He posted his prepared statements there on his X account. He says that he's there for two reasons. The first is that he loves his country, and America was built upon the idea that no person is above the law, and even presidents, and especially presidents there. He also went on to say that he saw nothing and that he did no wrong in this. He delivered these opening statements to lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee that's investigating the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Yesterday, we saw his wife, former First Lady and Secretary of State. That's Hillary Clinton right there. Of course, to the right is former President Bill Clinton. These are some of the pictures that were published by the Department of Justice. He went on to also say that first, and I'm quoting here, I had no idea of the crimes Epstein was committing. No matter how many photos you show me, I have two things that at the end of the day, no matter more than your interpretation of those 20-year-old photos. He goes on to say, I know what I saw, and more importantly, what I didn't see. He says, I saw nothing. I did nothing wrong. We do want to remind you that Clinton has not been accused of wrongdoing there, although he has been photographed or in that release of the Epstein files there. Yesterday, we saw Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State and the former First Lady. She testified yesterday as well. She said in an interview, I believe it was last week, with a foreign news agency, that she has nothing to hide there and that, you know, they're not against testifying. In fact, they're open to it. She says that they just want everything to be fair. Again, we are monitoring a live look outside of where that's happening. Yesterday, last night, after former First Lady Hillary Clinton testified there, we saw her come out. She made some statements. I would assume that the former president would do the same thing. Former President Clinton, of course, if that happens during this time, we'll take it. But yesterday it was probably around 6, 7 o'clock late in the evening when that happened there. Another story that we have been following, and now we've been following it for over 3 weeks, and that is the search for Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, morning show host of the Today Show. Well, a neighbor is coming out saying that she has some new evidence there that might show the possible route that they took there. She says that Ring camera captures some vehicles on a possible route that they might have taken as they got away from the crime scene. That's the video that's there. So the homeowner says that authorities never canvassed their neighborhood. This is in Tucson, Arizona, despite living on a back road near Guthrie's home. So she lives in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood, and she says she has a street-facing Ring camera. This is what we're looking at here, the cars that are going by. And it says that they caught 12 cars passing by on the morning of Nancy Guthrie's suspected abduction. So when I was at my desk, I was looking at a route, kind of a map there of this area, and it showed where Nancy Guthrie's home was in relation to this camera, and it looks like you would have to pass by here in order to get to the Guthrie home. They say these recordings took place between midnight and 6 a.m. February 1st. They believe that the activity occurred near the 2:30 a.m. mark, which is around the time that authorities believe the 84-year-old, her pacemaker was last synced with her iPhone and device. There is a $1 million reward for information that leads to an arrest. And so far, since announcing that, they say they have 1,500 tips into their line. Now, she went missing January 31st and reported missing the next day on February 1st after she did not show up to church services. Over the past couple of weeks, we've seen the Guthrie family really putting out statements. They've been putting out videos on social media as they are working to bring their mother home. It's been quite some time. I know a lot of people, we just want to know where Nancy Guthrie is. And of course, we're still praying. We're still holding out hope that there will be a safe return there. I want to take you to some live images. This is of Jesse Jackson as mourners are filing by to pay their final respects there. This is a live look in Chicago. You can see his casket, and you can see just mourners going by. Week long of service services that will last into the weekend. Of course, Chicago is where his home base was, but he's no stranger here to Atlanta. He was a protege of Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, he was there in Memphis at the Lorraine Motel when he was shot and killed. I believe that is the family that is receiving guests there and receiving those well-wishers or those who are paying respects there as well to the Rainbow Coalition and the Push Coalition. He was the first African-American man to make it that far at the time to the presidential bid. Of course, he will be missed. He did a lot for HBCUs, a lot for the Southern Leadership Conference, and a lot for civil rights as well. Final story we want to get to is the Artemis 2. If you're interested in space, if you want to go to the moon, this would have been the first step there. Well, NASA says they have to push back the Artemis 2 launch back to 2027. It was supposed to launch soon. In fact, it was supposed to carry some astronauts, 4 astronauts around the moon, but now it is expected to be delayed until 2027. And it's designed to land astronauts on the moon's lunar south pole by 2028. It has been quite some time since we've had a man on the moon, so a lot of times they'd want to get back in the running there. NASA's team spoke on the upcoming projects and the need to work efficiently in order to accomplish each of these missions. Here is, I believe it was Jared Isaacman who talked in this news conference here. I don't think we have any sound from it. We actually do have sound from it there. Let's listen in together. This is Jared Isaacman, who is a NASA administrator.
We're also, as a component of the strategy, endeavoring to preserve up to 2 landing attempts in 2028. So if we get it inside of the 10-month turnaround time that we would like to see, Artemis 2 will launch on its historic mission in the weeks ahead. Artemis 3 will have its opportunity, if we can, by mid-2027, which sets us up for an early 28 and a late 28 opportunity.
Of course, I know safety is probably the #1 concern, so they want to make sure that they get it right. Space is nothing to play with. All right, let's go over and get a check of what's trending online with Joyce there with our digital team. Joyce, walk us through some of the talkers that are happening online. You really have your pulse on what's online. You tell us every morning, and you always find some good stories on the internet.
Hey, Eric. So let me tell you what happened recently in Carrollton. So police say that there was a driver on one of the roads there, and apparently he ran into the back of a 18-wheeler. He admitted to the police that he was looking at his phone, and the photos are absolutely wild. I know you can see them right now on your screen, and you can see how that car went up underneath the trailer, and like the windshield is totally caved in. The Carrollton Police Department is saying, it's definitely a miracle that this guy was not killed. And they put this out on Facebook, and they are making it really clear to, they don't enforce Georgia's hands-free law strictly, because they want to make money or, writing tickets. It's fun for them, but, it's all about, making sure people arrive alive, and that, you definitely should not be texting while you're driving, or something like this can just happen in a split second.
Joyce, this is something that I just find miraculous. They say God looks out for babies and fools here, and he had someone looking out for him on this day, because it's just any wrong move would have really caused some serious harm there. I just can't believe it, but this is just a reminder. Put that text message down before, there's no phones in the afterlife that I know of. So he was really close to something not so great happening there. All right, I saw Papa John's and I haven't eaten lunch, so I want to know what is going on with that.
Oh, yeah, my gosh. So Papa John's, which is based in Atlanta, if you did not know that, they actually moved their headquarters here back in like 2020. So they are closing like 300 stores across the country after they filed for bankruptcy. So it's part of like a major downsizing plan, trying to get their finances stabilized. So they're basically getting rid of some underperforming locations, and they're also making some changes to their menu, including getting rid of the papadilla sandwiches. Now, when we first heard this, we were like 300 locations. That's a lot, but I looked it up. So there's actually like 3,000, 3,500 locations here in the United States, and then of course there's another couple of thousand around the globe. There's about 80 of those here in Georgia, and if you've been around Georgia for very long, you know that the NBA legend Shaq actually owns like I think 8 or 9 of those locations. They have not released a list yet of what locations are going to be closing. Hopefully it's none of the ones in Georgia, but we don't know that yet, so we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens.
You know, Papa John's is not the only one. I'm looking up, doing some research now. Pizza Hut, they're seeing stores declining. They're going to close some as well. Just because I have you here and we're talking about pizza, are you a pineapple on the pizza person, a fruit on the pizza person? How do you take yours?
Absolutely. Yes, I love pineapple on the pizza. I see absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Joyce, we have another story, but I kind of want to end this early just because you said that. I am not a pineapple person, but we'll leave that. We'll leave that there. It is going to be beautiful this weekend. I mean, Jonathan just said it was going to be in the 70s. A lot of people want to get outside. We've seen some rain and some cold weather recently. What are some of the things that we can get outside and do?
Well, I have one of the perfect things for you to do, especially if you don't live like right here in the city of Atlanta and you kind of live north of the city. So Cartersville is going to have their annual Black History Month parade. And I went last year. It's a lot of fun. So they have bands. They have like multiple like cars, like classic cars and little sports cars. They have a bunch of like local groups, like all the little cute little girls in the dance teams and boys. And, you know, they, of course, have like the local dignitaries that also participate in the parade. And then after the parade, they usually have like a little festival and there's like a lot of really good food. And it's, you know, probably only about 10 or 12 booths or so, but there's a bunch of food and some stuff for sale. But they also have like entertainment afterwards. I mean, last year, they had like multiple people performing just throughout the afternoon. So, you know, it was a whole lot of fun and I highly suggest it. Plus, you know, Cartersville's really cool because it's got the Savoy Auto Museum and it also has the Telus Science Museum. So, and a bunch of good restaurants. So it's just a really, you know, it's a nice little town to visit. And of course, Black History Month. So, I mean, it's like, you know, it's going to be a great weekend for a parade for sure. And, you know, if you do want to sit closer here in town or you're not really kind of the parade type person, we have like a whole list of stuff on our website, you know, live music, comedy, like other things for the family, you know, food festivals. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff and it's got, you know, the date and where it's at and a link so that you can get more information.
Joyce, I have to ask, what are you doing this weekend? Are you hitting any of the festivals? Are you going out or are you just going to go out and touch grass, as the young people say?
Actually, yeah, me and Sam, who was on here yesterday with you guys, we are going to the Ramadan festival tonight. And it's like a night market, so it doesn't even start until like 9 o'clock tonight. And I think Paul was there, or he was talking to, wait, that might be wrong. I don't know. They were on the morning show this morning, though. So that's going to be a lot of fun for sure. And I'm really looking forward to the food.
Yeah, the food is definitely going to be good. If you missed any of it and you want a full list on our website, head to fox5atlanta.com. Our pineapple pizza, Joyce, is here. And thanks so much for sharing those trending topics across. And have fun tonight. Be safe. All right, let's get you to our other top story we've been following throughout this newscast, throughout the morning, throughout the week, and last week as well. That is the trial of Appalachia High School accused killer Colt Trey. His father, Colin Gray, is on trial. He's still on the stand. They returned from recess around 1 o'clock there, and I believe the district attorney, Brad Smith, there in Barrow County, is doing a cross-examination of him. Earlier, we saw his defense attorney up there as well, Brian Hobbs, asking his client some questions there on the stand. Now it's the state's turn after they rested his case yesterday, and now they're doing a cross-examination. We're going to listen in for a little bit, and then we'll do a quick recap.
You just said that.
I did just say that.
Thank you.
There was nothing set in stone. It had to be Barrow County.
But you never said anything to her about planning to move, did you?
I did not.
And this is the woman who told you in March she would be coming to your house monthly to check on Colt.
Correct.
It was her job to do this.
Correct.
2 weeks later, you signed the lease at 896 Harrison Mill Road.
Yes, sir.
And you don't let anyone at DFAX ever know about your change of address, do you?
I don't. I think the last conversation I had with Michaela was she was satisfied with everything that was going on. That I think she worded it that I was more than helpful. Colt was polite. I was very pleasant to meet with and looked like we were on the right track. So I did not.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember testifying at a bond hearing here in court?
In the very beginning of all this? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and you swore to tell the truth, whole truth, no truth, help God?
Yep.
You did that? Okay. Do you remember me asking you about DFAX coming out to your house, specifically about Michaela Anderson coming out to your house?
In the beginning, I do believe so. You may have asked that question.
Okay. In fact, I asked, so while you were at 954 River Mist Circle in Jefferson, a DFAX case was opened on your family in November of 2022. And your response was, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I remember that conversation with you. And to further that conversation, you also had asked me if I had ever been arrested. And I had stated that I had not. And in fact, there had been some things 30 years ago, roughly, that had happened. There had been a lot that happened at that point. I've been, arrested. I've been in jail now for a year and a half. And so I'm trying to still process what exactly happened with my son and me being locked up for it. So if I did not remember every single detail that you were asking me at that point, that is my bad.
That's extra bad. Okay.
I did, at the end of the day, we had so many meetings with DFAX here and there, I couldn't, I wasn't sure when I met with her.
All right, well, let me say, so my next question to you was, after you said I wasn't aware of that, I asked, you don't remember them coming out to your house and interviewing you after November of 2022 into May of 2023. Now, this is November-ish or October-ish of 24 that I'm asking.
All right, we've been listening in together as District Attorney for Barrow County, Brad Smith, has been questioning Colin Gray as he took the stand. His defense attorney, Brian Hobbs, talked this morning a little bit about just his defense and why he believes that Colin Gray did everything possible. But now we're seeing that cross-examination, and you can see that the state is trying to poke holes in the story to try to prove that Colin Gray was responsible and did not do everything that he could do to prevent that school shooting in Appalachia High School. Of course, if you want to continue to watch this, we have that on our website, fox5atlanta.com, Fox Local, on our YouTube channel. So many people have been watching in, as this is probably the biggest witness, the biggest testimony that we will see. Not sure who the defense will bring up next, but pretty confident that Colin Gray will be on the stand quite some time. We'll be right back with a check of what's happening tonight on the Post and a look at what we're working on at the 2 p.m. hour. Stick with us. back with the fabulous Ariel Onstad, taking a look at what's happening at 2 and the discussion tonight on The Pulse. They're talking about iPods or coming back into style.
Yeah, Eric, maybe you guys can relate to having an electronic device you just can't say goodbye to, or maybe you say goodbye for a time and then it finds its way back into your life. And we're finding that iPods might actually be coming back. And we're going to talk about why that is. Also, I think it's so interesting, Eric. I feel like if I were to guess, a lot of people probably feel like their phone, this thing, it does too much.
It does too much.
And maybe you want to listen to music, you want something calmer, more peaceful. Is an iPad or soloing off your electronic devices, does it give you more peace? That's what we're going to talk about tonight at 7.
I saw we were also talking about Crocs in the airport.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
I have on Crocs now, too, so I wouldn't be allowed in this airport. We'll tell you which one coming up tonight at 7.
And whether or not it was a joke, because some people got heated about this. So ready to talk about what you wear at the airport. Also ready here, Eric, at 3 o'clock and 2 o'clock to talk about, I don't even know what hour it is.
Yeah.
But to talk about the news that is happening. I'm going to be hosting both hours today. And we have a lot of developing stories. University of Georgia, a professor or instructor was let go. And now we're going to explore why they have fled the country, according to the university. Really, really interesting story there.
And a talker, too, with so many people.
Yes. And we're also just going to talk about some other things that you guys may have on your radar. Of course, the latest with what you were just watching, the Colin Gray trial. And we have the latest on the deposition happening with Bill Clinton. Historic moments there, as he is one of the first former presidents to be deposed like that in 40 years, actually. I was looking through kind of a timeline, and they were saying he's the first major president to be deposed like this before Congress in 40 years. So we'll discuss.
All right, stick with us. Thanks for joining us for this 1 p.m. hour, 2 and 3 with Ariel Onstad. Coming up next after the break. We'll be right back.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here at 2 o'clock. We've got a lot to get to this afternoon, and one of the first stories we're following involves a UGA professor who was being investigated for alleged misconduct with a minor, and now we're learning that professor has fled the country, according to the university. Check it out. This is a statement released by the University of Georgia saying, we're writing to provide an update on the investigation into the allegations made earlier this week about an instructor who was accused by social media influencers of inappropriate predatory texting with a minor. The individual involved in this incident has been terminated from employment by the University of Georgia and barred from campus. Our investigation has determined that the instructor, who was working on a limited term contract with UGA, fled the country late Tuesday. Even so, the UGA Police Department remains fully committed to investigating this case, and we're moving forward with a criminal investigation. On Wednesday, UGA executed a search warrant at this instructor's Athens residence and recovered additional evidence. And they're really encouraging anyone who might have any information to come forward and contact UGA police so they can continue to gather all the relevant evidence in this case. But this has really been pretty interesting to watch unfold, because social media influencers did confront that professor or instructor without police present, and so police were needing to go back and try to get evidence from those influencers. At this time, we're not putting the name of this instructor out publicly as a news agency, because that person has not yet been charged with a crime. You may know this instructor's name from what you've seen on social media, but until they're charged with a crime, we are not yet reporting their name. We'll continue to keep you updated, but as of right now, according to the University of Georgia, that professor has fled the country. We'll keep you updated. I'd like to move on here to another story we're continuing to follow at this hour. A woman is recovering, truly fighting for her life after bullets flew into her home in southwest Atlanta. And our Angelique Proctor joins us live to talk about this. Angelique, just really heartbreaking to see so much violence in such a short period of time with bullets that have gone into homes here lately. What can you tell us about this latest incident?
Well, good afternoon to you, Ariel. What I can tell you is this is a very peaceful and quiet community. We are off of Campbellton Road, off of County Line, in a neighborhood in the Ben Hill community. And all I've been hearing all day are birds chirping, planes flying overhead. And a lot of these people are not home because they are working people. But Atlanta police say this is, in fact, the place where a very violent shooting happened around 6 o'clock this morning. Before the sun came up, someone came here and on Greenleaf Circle and sprayed a house with bullets. Now, police closed this residential street and investigated for several hours. Unfortunately, this woman that was shot in the neck, and she was rushed to Grady Hospital. Police say that it was about 15 to 20 shots that rang out. We have talked to one neighbor who did not want to show her face, but says this is very unusual for this area.
Multiple gunshots, lots and lots of gunshots. Like, to me, it was a full clip or maybe more, but it was an uneasy, settling sound of gunshots at 6 a.m. My only concern was, like, where was it going? Because, like I said, everyone here is very hardworking people. I mean, everyone.
Now, we have reached out to Atlanta police to try to get more on this shooting. Just moments ago, a gentleman stopped by here and said that he knew the family. He didn't want to talk with us on camera, but he said that this woman is going into emergency surgery at Grady Hospital, that he was headed down there to check on her. So we are hoping to get more information from Atlanta police, and certainly they would want to make an arrest in this case because this woman was inside of her home at the time that these gunshots rang out at 6 o'clock this morning. Ariel?
I can hear the birds in your actual live shot, and looking at that home, I get the sense that this is a very peaceful neighborhood, and there aren't a lot of homes really close by to it. It's not like this is a really dense or packed in subdivision. There's a little space, so it gives kind of the, or go ahead, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to have my cameraman to actually pan so you can see how close the houses are. This is one of those communities probably built in the 1960s. A lot of the houses are brick homes, and they're fairly close together, but certainly not jammed up as close and as tight as we see in the city in Atlanta. But you can see here on Greenleaf Circle, lots of people are living here, and it's a very thriving community.
So then, Angelique, this is really good context to be able to see that, because my thought was that home, if it's standing by itself, do they think it was an accident that bullets flew into it? Was it targeted? I know we've talked about how it might have been a targeted shooting. What do you know on that?
Well, that is the big question, and Atlanta police were not prepared to answer that this morning. You got to think this just happened at 6 a.m., but certainly whoever came here had a gun and only shot at this house. We can see lots of bullet holes there in the front of the home. Because it is a white home, you can't maybe see it as well from here, but this was the only house that was hit.
Angelique, good. Thank you for that. Thanks for giving us that context. I'm just zeroing in and taking a look behind you. Really helpful to be able to understand that. As soon as we get any new information, of course, we'll let you know right here on Fox Local. But Angelique, I'll let you get back to gathering information. Appreciate you joining us live and sharing what you know so far. As we continue here this afternoon, you guys, I want to continue with some other stories that we're following. A big one in our newsroom today actually involves the trial of Colin Gray. As many of you know, he has been he has been on trial for the for his son's actions, in part with that high school shooting that unfolded in Appalachia back in 2024. Now, today, the big news is he took the stand in his own defense. We were discussing yesterday whether or not this was a possibility. Today, we saw that come to fruition. And one of the things that Colin Gray was saying on the stand is that he had no idea his son was obsessed with school shooters. We've heard previous testimony about how his son, Colt Gray, had a shrine to Nicholas Cruz and a previous high school shooter, and he was saying how he didn't know that his son had this in his bedroom. He also, there were a lot of emotional moments on the stand as he kind of talked about his family and his children. He says he couldn't imagine his child would do this, and that was really a big part of what the defense is trying to highlight, is that they're trying to say that Colin Gray had no idea that his son posed this risk or was capable of doing something like this. Prosecutors, on the other hand, are trying to show that the warning signs were there, and as a parent, they're saying that Colin Gray failed to take action based on those warning signs. As of right now, Colin Gray is still testifying live on the stand, and we know that they've gotten into cross-examination at this point. The prosecutors are beginning to ask him questions about his testimony that he previously gave. I'd like to start off with a shorter soundbite from earlier today and let you listen to some moments that unfolded as Colin Gray was testifying in the courtroom.
Did you ever tell her to lie about anything?
I would not tell my children to lie. We go back as far as anybody wants to go. Purpose of the bubble, all of this was to create an environment for my children to tell the truth. I don't care what you've done. So we could work things out. Never, I've got family in law enforcement. I would never tell her to lie about anything, first of all. But something serious like this, at this point, I still want to know what the hell happened. So I would never ask her to lie or cover up about anything. In fact, on the way there, what she said to me was, you know, Colt was fascinated with school shootings, and I remember looking at her and saying, why would you say that? Why didn't you tell me? And she said, he made me promise not to tell you. And I said, Jenny, I needed to know things like that. And she said, well, I'm scared. She said, do you think this is what this is about? And I'm like, the interview, they're talking to me and her, and I said, I'm sure it is. Pulled in that parking lot, sat in that truck. She said, how long do you think this is going to take? I'm like, I have no idea. But the last thing I told my child was, whatever you do, don't lie. Just tell the truth. Just tell them what you know and don't lie. That's the last thing I remember telling Jenny when we went in there.
Were you upset and surprised when she came in and said that?
I am still to this moment extremely shocked at I know that's Jenny Ring Gray, that's my daughter. I don't know who that was sitting up here. That's not, she doesn't act like that. She doesn't talk like that. I was shocked at what she said. I don't know how else to put it.
When she came to live with you, did you give up your master bedroom for her?
So part of the frustration probably with Colt, as he saw it, I kind of gave Jenny a little more than I would give the two boys. I come from a family of girls, and you know, Jenny was kind of special to me, and so I wanted her to feel that I loved her and she was safe there and didn't have to deal with anything. So I said, you live with 3 boys now, so I'm going to give you the master bedroom, the master bath, so you have privacy. I had heard and listened and been around sisters my whole life, so I know she was reaching that age, and I wanted her to have that privacy, to not have to deal with Colt and all of us. So I made sure she had her own space in there to do whatever she needed to do. So yes, I did.
And did you and Jenny ever argue? Did y'all have any problems?
No, Jenny and I, was kind of a shocking thing to hear her talk about. You know, Colt didn't really go, but Jenny and Coley and I, it's rare, if at all, that we miss church. Our Sunday was go to church. She's a big reader. I would take them to Barnes & Noble right across from Athens Church, spend money on books for her, spend the day there. So we just had a really good relationship where she saw what I was doing for her and with her, and bought her an iPhone. I didn't buy anybody else an iPhone. I had to save a little bit longer. She was very patient and waited. But I just tried to do extra things. So Jenny and I really never had a riff, you know, and I could talk to her about things and she could talk to me about things. And Jenny was wise beyond her years. You know, she's very calm and perceptive and understood a lot more than people give her credit for. She's a smart kid too. So in my mind, we had a great relationship.
Okay. Is there any, if you can remember, any red flag or anything that Colt did that would make you believe that he would ever be capable of doing this act?
No, I struggle with it every day. I've never seen that video until yesterday. You know, he's a good kid. You know, he wasn't perfect, nor was I. But to do something that heinous, like I don't know if anybody could ever see that kind of evil. And it's like the Colt I knew, a relationship I had, there's this whole other side of Colt I didn't know existed. So, no.
Was everything you did for Colt, did you try to placate him and try to make him okay?
I did. I just wanted him okay.
Thank you. Nothing really good.
Well, you're listening in to some emotional moments that unfolded in the courtroom today as Colin Gray has taken the stand in his defense. We do expect him to be the defense's sole witness for today. Not sure if there will be more witnesses that the defense brings forth. As of right now, they are in cross-examination, and prosecutors are trying to poke holes in some of what Colin Gray had to say today, trying to show that maybe he did know more about his son's mental health status and more about what was going going on in his home and failed to take action, thus leading to the tragic situation that unfolded at Appalachian High School in 2024. As it continues, you can watch this trial live on our YouTube page. We've been streaming it live every day, showing you the parts that we are allowed to by the judge. So if you'd like to continue with that, you can head to our YouTube page on Fox 5 Atlanta and continue to watch that trial live as it unfolds. But here, as we continue at 2 o'clock, I want to tell you a shooter is still at large after a 7-year-old child was shot and killed. Truly heartbreaking, and we continue to learn more and more about little Zoe and her family and what unfolded after she was killed. And we're learning a little bit more now from her sister and as to how this happened and also how her mother was wounded. 7-year-old Zoe's older sister is talking about the shooting that happened on Tiger Flowers Drive earlier this week. Her little sister was in first grade. She loved to dance and cheer, and Zoe Price died after someone opened fire into her home. Her mother was also hurt, and we're learning more about how her mother is getting out of the hospital. Her mother had a bullet that was lodged in her ribs, and I want to talk a little bit in just a second about how you can help the family. But in case you're not familiar with this story, Zoe Price is that first grader. You can see images of that little girl, and she was killed in this shooting, and it left her mother hurt. This happened just earlier this week on Tiger Flowers Drive, like I mentioned. And Zoe, or really at this point, Atlanta police are trying to figure out who is responsible for Zoe's death and who's responsible for shooting her mother, Cassandra Irvin. Both were inside of their home when bullets flew in around just before 10 o'clock on Tuesday. And at this point, police are asking anyone with any information to come forward. They say that they believe this was an argument between two people, and it unfolded there outside of the home, but they don't believe that this was domestic related. And police are also saying that or rather, as we've spoken to the family, we've learned that the little sister, Zoe's older sister, Tatiana Irvin, held her as she took her last breaths. Just absolutely heartbreaking. So you can see that GoFundMe there, and we have it on our Fox 5 Atlanta page and right here on Fox Local if you'd like to get involved and help this family. Cassandra Irvin, the mother of Zoe, is a single mother of 5, and the tragedy has left her in a state of financial crisis. So this GoFundMe is to help fund her child's funeral services. The Willie Watkins Funeral Home has stepped up to handle the funeral arrangements. We have learned they're going to be doing that, so that is good news. But if you'd like to help out as a community member, giving you that information there. But this is just a heartbreaking situation that's really captivated so many in our community as we've wondered how anyone could do this, why people were fighting outside of that home, and then ultimately leading to this family's death and injury. So just tragic. As we continue, I want to let you know a little bit more about the flash floods we did see overnight because of the torrential downpour that we received. Maybe if you woke up this morning or last night, if you were trying to get to a workout class in Buckhead or trying to get around different parts of our city, you no doubt saw the vehicles submerged in some water and other issues around local roads here in Atlanta. And one car was stuck in water on North Avenue. There was flooding in other local streets. It stranded drivers and closed roads near Georgia Tech and in Buckhead. But North Avenue ended up being closed from Yancey Street to State Street near Georgia Tech because of a submerged vehicle under the Marietta overpass. Farr Road was also closed because a lot of drivers got stranded in rising water at the base of a hill there, and it actually required intervention from watershed management crews. City workers and local business owners used leaf blowers and shovels to try to clear the storm drains that had been blocked from debris by nearby planters, but you can see right where this unfolded on Farr there in near Buckhead Village. So at this point, situation has seemed to be rectified. If you guys see any other lingering flash flood issues, let us know. But it really is remarkable how much water Atlanta received in such a short period of time, especially given the fact that we really haven't seen rain like this for quite a little bit. As we continue taking a look at your TikTok and YouTube comments or questions that you have, I see someone here in TikTok saying thank you for the GoFundMe info. You are welcome. I'm assuming that's with Zoe Price. Absolutely heartbreaking. So as our community community rallies around that family. Hopefully they won't feel as alone. I want to take a minute to switch gears to some national stories. So one of the big things we're following today involves the testimony of Bill Clinton as it relates to the Epstein files. You know, this has been something that we've long talked about, what his testimony could look like and what the former president might have to say about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And as of right now, former President Bill Clinton has testified before members of Congress who are investigating Jeffrey Epstein. He says, Bill Clinton says, "I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong." And that was an opening statement he shared on social media at the outset of the deposition, very similar to what his wife Hillary Clinton shared yesterday with her statement on social media before the deposition. But his wife warmed to the seat, and now former President Bill Clinton is the main event, really, in this unprecedented closed-door deposition over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Hillary Clinton told lawmakers yesterday she did not know Epstein and never flew on his plane nor visited his island. But photos and flight logs do tell a different story for Bill Clinton. He's testifying under oath before the House Oversight Committee's Jeffrey Epstein investigation. And with photos like we've been seeing from the files, lawmakers have a lot of questions. Congressman James Comer says Mr. Clinton deferred, or rather Mrs. Clinton deferred a lot of questions to her husband yesterday. So lawmakers' inquiries for Bill have increased because they say that a lot of things they asked Hillary, she deferred to him. It's extremely rare for a former or sitting president to testify before Congress. Bill Clinton's going to be the first to do so in 40 years. Democrats hope it's going to set a new precedent and make it difficult for Republicans to explain why they're not deposing President Trump. His name is also included in the files. After 6 hours of questioning Hillary Clinton yesterday, lawmakers appear no closer to understanding how Epstein got away with his sex crimes for decades. Bill Clinton is expected to tell lawmakers, like I mentioned, he has no knowledge of the crimes, which we've already seen him do with that statement on social media. And while flight logs show he used Epstein's plane, there's no clear evidence that the former president went to Epstein's island. Bill Clinton is testifying behind closed doors, but we do expect the transcript and video to be released here in a matter of days. I'd like to let you take a listen to what Representative James Comer had to say before this deposition. He is the leading member on the House Oversight Committee, Republican congressman from Kentucky. Take a listen to what he had to say.
No one's accusing anyone of any wrongdoing, but I think the American people have a lot of questions, and our House Oversight Committee is committed to getting answers. We're committed to transparency. We've already seen a lot of very powerful people who have been held accountable by having to resign in disgrace from various boards all over the world. We're going to continue to seek the truth, try to figure out how the government failed the victims, and try to hopefully hold more people accountable. Yesterday, Ms. Clinton deferred a lot of questions to her husband today. There were at least a dozen times when she said, "You'll have to ask my husband that. I can't answer that." So we already had a big portfolio of questions for him, and that increased yesterday. So we look forward to that. Well, I think everyone's seen there are a lot of photos that have been released by the Department of Justice as well as the Epstein estate. There are a lot of email correspondence that included President Clinton. We know President Clinton had, and Secretary Clinton confirmed this yesterday, Jeffrey Epstein was in the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president. We know that Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 27 times. So those are questions that we're going to ask. Everything that most media outlets have reported with respect to pictures and correspondence between Epstein, Maxwell, and Bill Clinton, these are all questions that we're going to ask today.
Well, you're listening to Congressman James Comer speak a little bit about the answers and the procedure following, or rather before, their deposition of former President Bill Clinton. I see a lot of you here on TikTok and YouTube basically saying that you want to see President Trump testify next about whatever he may know related to Jeffrey Epstein. And you're not alone in wanting that, because House Democrats have renewed their calls for the current president to testify. And these Democrats sitting on the House Oversight Committee, who are working on this investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, are calling for the president to testify before them. Take a listen as they also spoke to reporters earlier today.
We have real questions that deserve serious answers from former President Clinton, and we have said from day one that Democrats want to talk to anyone, whether they are a Republican or a Democrat, no matter how powerful they are, whatever position that they've been in. If anyone has information about Jeffrey Epstein, and certainly the horror that he inflicted on so many women and children, we want to hear from them. What we do not want today is a sideshow and questions about UFOs or about conspiracy theories from decades ago, which is what unfortunately happened yesterday when a series of bizarre questions were asked of Secretary Clinton. And Secretary Clinton was clear. She never met Jeffrey Epstein. She never went on the island. She was never on the plane. And she had no knowledge, of course, of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. We are now asking and demanding that President Trump officially come in and testify in front of the Oversight Committee. He appears in the Epstein files next to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell almost more than anybody else. So it's time for the president to answer questions about why files are missing from the DOJ, why there's been a White House cover-up, and why we continue in that administration to call this investigation a hoax. We are demanding, again, that the press and the public be allowed inside the depositions so that you can hear the answers and the questions directly. And if that's not going to happen, they need to release a full, unedited review of the questions and video within 24 hours of the end of these depositions. That means that the Secretary Clinton deposition needs to be released immediately today.
Well, speaking of release of these depositions, we do expect videos of the depositions to be released publicly once they're approved, hopefully sooner than later. I know a lot of you want to see those. The Clintons have not been accused of any wrongdoing in their relationship with Epstein. There have been no charges filed. At this point, lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee are trying to get answers about what they may know. As any of this information changes, we'll be sure to let you know about it right here on Fox Local. This is something that everyone has questions on, and we want to make sure to keep you guys updated as we get new information. But we have seen, with the release of the Epstein files, a series of resignations, investigations, and other probes happening around the nation. Another one I want to tell you about is unfolding with the European Union, and they're taking a look, actually, into the former British ambassador, Peter Mandelson. You had heard earlier, or maybe last week when we were talking about this issue, that Peter Mandelson had been arrested over suspected misconduct related to Jeffrey Epstein. And now the European Union is opening this probe. Before, it was Great Britain who was looking into Mandelson, and now it's the European Union. But they're looking at specifically the fraud. The anti-fraud office of the European Union wants to run this investigation, and they're taking a look at Mandelson's ties while serving as Brussels trade representative. And ultimately, this could threaten the leadership of British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, because Keir Starmer had appointed Peter Mandelson to that position of UK ambassador, despite warnings about Mandelson's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. So I'd like to let you take a listen to what an EU Commission spokesperson had to say about this.
The announcement yesterday from the Commission, on the 3rd of February, if you recall, we made it clear that we are looking into this particular case, and we are launching an assessment. So that has been ongoing ever since. And then, in view of the circumstances and in view of the probably millions of pages of documents which have been published in this area, on the 18th of February, we decided to also draw the attention of Olaf to the matter, with the caveat that, of course, Olaf is independent. It is their decision whether they take up the case or not, and how they intend to proceed. And then, of course, in the meantime, we also continue our assessment and do what we can. But again, here we are looking at millions of pages of revelations, so that I think justifies the step that we took on the 18th of February.
So you're were listening a little bit there as he's explaining basically the European Union is calling on the Anti-Fraud Office to open this investigation. No official charges have been filed yet, but we'll keep you updated as we learn any new information, because the release of the Epstein files from our government has had ripple effects around the world. As we continue here, I want to get you closer to home as we take a check of our local weather forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Stacy. Also talk about some other stories. Something that's been making some headlines lately that I've seen a lot of people talk about involves the Pentagon wanting to use artificial intelligence in ways some of the makers of artificial intelligence don't want it to be used. We're going to talk about that, as well as some other stories related to tariffs and why FedEx wants to give tariff money back to consumers. That's coming up. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here at 2 o'clock. You've got questions on any of the stories we're covering, drop them here on TikTok or YouTube, and I'll try to get to them. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about an unfolding story with artificial intelligence in the Pentagon. But first, let's get to meteorologist Jonathan Stacy. He's going to check our weather forecast. It does look like we have a glorious weekend in store.
The weekend is upon us, and so is sunshine, but it may not look like it's going to come out tomorrow morning, because we're going to start out the morning with a thick deck of clouds. However, as day turns into afternoon, or as morning turns into afternoon, the sunshine will be on full display. Temperatures warming up into the high 60s, and they will up the ante, crossing the 70-degree threshold for Sunday to reach a high of 74 degrees with plenty of sunshine to start, and then some clouds moving in on the back half of the day. So as we kick off a new month, where should we be for this time of the year? Well, we're going to reach into the mid-70s for Sunday, which is the first day of March, but typically we should be around 72 degrees for our average high. So we're going to have high temperatures for the first day of the month that are some 10 degrees plus above average. By the middle of March, we should be around 66, and then we should be ending the month with a high temperature of 70 degrees. However, that's the way we're going to start, and likely going through the first couple of weeks of the month, we're going to maintain above average temperatures, and that is a regime that will take over the entire United States, but specifically looking at the southeastern United States for not only warm temperatures, but some pretty steady rainfall coming out over the Ohio River Valley from the Great Lakes and reaching down south, and it looks like North Georgia will be on the fringe of what will be higher than average rainfall amounts for the month of March. In terms of your high temperature for today. We'll hold it at 66 degrees. A couple neighborhoods up to the north sneaking into the higher 60s and lower 70s. The average high for this time of the year is 61 degrees. As we move through the afternoon into the evening, a couple isolated showers could fall from those clouds that just won't go away. I'm not concerned about those. Most of us will stay dry, and those dry conditions will take us into Saturday. Once again, you'll have a thick layer of cloud cover tomorrow morning, maybe some mist and maybe even possibly some pockets of fog, but they don't stick around for long. Things are going to change fairly quickly, and we'll be able to capitalize on some sunshine and some warm air to end the month of February. The low temperature to start the morning, 50 degrees. Some neighborhoods, especially outside of the city where there are a few clouds, dropping down into the mid-40s, but then the day turns around on the dime. We'll look for high temperatures by the time we get to the afternoon to be in the high 60s up across the northwest section of the state. We'll look for those numbers to easily come into the 70s. But once again, everybody joins the 70s for Sunday. That's everybody everywhere with plenty of sunshine. By Monday, clouds are back in control and they'll douse temperatures a bit. We'll look for highs next week somewhere in the high 50s to the low 70s.
All right, Jonathan, looks like a great week to get out and enjoy some sunshine and make the most of the warmer temperatures. Thanks so much. As we continue here, I told you guys I wanted to talk about this brewing situation with the Pentagon and its use of artificial intelligence. So let's get into it, because this is a developing story from Axios, now reporting a little bit more on how the Pentagon might be taking its first steps to blacklist Anthropic. And that's the parent company of the AI model Claude. And the big picture is that Claude is the only AI model running the military's classified systems. It was used to help capture Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro in that operation. And although Anthropic's partnership with, or through Anthropic's partnership with Palantir, this could foreseeably be used in a military campaign with Iran, right? So this artificial intelligence, Claude, has been already used in U.S. military operations and could foreseeably be used in more. And the Pentagon is impressed with Claude's performance, but furious that Anthropic has refused to lift its safeguards and let the military use it for, quote, all lawful purposes. Anthropic says, in particular, that they want to block Claude's use for mass surveillance of Americans or to develop weapons that would fire without human involvement. Those are two big no-nos that Anthropic has said they do not want the United States government to use Claude for. But the Pentagon is insisting it's not workable to have clear individual use cases with Anthropic. They want to be able to use it however they see fit for, quote, all lawful purposes, which could include having weapons that fire without human involvement or using it to mass surveil on Americans. So the friction point is that during a tense meeting on Tuesday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei a deadline to agree to the Pentagon's terms by 5 o'clock this afternoon. So really today is the deadline that the Pentagon has given. And as of right now, it does appear that Anthropic is not going to budge to the Pentagon's demands. And so the Axios is now reporting that the Pentagon might be taking that first step to blacklist Anthropic. The Pentagon actually asked two major defense contractors on Wednesday to provide an assessment of their reliance on Anthropic's AI model Claude. And it could be a first step towards a potential designation of Anthropic as a supply chain risk. This matters because that penalty is usually reserved for companies from adversarial countries like China's tech giant Huawei. So using it to punish a leading American tech firm, particularly one which the military itself is currently using and reliant on, would be unprecedented. So this is something that we'll continue to keep you updated on. But in the meantime, I want to let you know that President Trump's tariff is now in effect. This is that 10% tariff that went into effect on all countries. And Democrats have vowed to block these tariffs on Capitol Hill. But the president says they apply to all countries across the board. It's causing some confusion with trading partners who signed new deals to avoid those tariffs. But that was before the Supreme Court invalidated most of the president's tariffs. Now the White House says it's using other tools to put the tariffs back in place, pushing back against things like forced labor and excess production in other countries. Democrats, however, say the administration's trade policies are hurting the economy. They're pointing to soaring costs and a major loss of manufacturing jobs over the last year. The White House says its plan is long-term term, with tariffs encouraging companies to build more factories here in the United States. But that will take years, and the current tariffs do expire in 150 days. Democrats on Capitol Hill say when those tariffs expire, because the president put them through with an executive order, Democrats say that once they expire, there won't be the votes within Congress to keep these tariffs in place. And President Trump says he wants to bring that global tariff rate up from 15%, but it's unclear how soon that will happen or if it will be possible. In the meantime, FedEx is actually trying to get its money back from the federal government as it relates to tariffs. And FedEx actually is making a pledge to help some consumers and shippers hit with the extra costs on tariff-related goods. FedEx says it's going to turn any tariff costs charged to customers, or it will return any tariff costs charged to customers if the Trump administration rebates the levied charges to the company. Now, this promise comes after FedEx filed a lawsuit, like we mentioned, against the U.S. government. They're demanding the Trump administration to offer refunds of all payments made under some of its tariffs policies that the Supreme Court ruled was illegal last week. FedEx says it's taking necessary actions to try to protect the company's rights as an importer. It's not known when refunds could come because the matter is likely to end up in courts for years. But as always, we'll let you know of any developments that unfold. As it continues here, we want to check in with our Kevin Stewart on how some businesses here at home are preparing for the FIFA World Cup. This is going to be a major event that's going to change a lot of Atlanta's footprint, so we're going to chat about it coming up next. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Absolute pleasure to be with you on your Friday afternoon, catching you up on all the stories we're following here locally, nationally, and on a state level. So let's go here locally with our Kevin Stewart, who is taking a look at how some businesses are preparing for the FIFA World Cup. Kevin, catch us up to speed here. Are they excited? Are they nervous? What's happening?
Excited, looking to make a lot of money. The Invest Atlanta says that we're looking at probably about a more than $500 million economic impact in Metro Atlanta. And so a lot of businesses want to take advantage of that. This is an opportunity with people coming from all over the nation, all over the world, to see the games come June. They really want to be able to take advantage of it, whether it's a business that is, say, trying to stay afloat, just keep it going, or take it to the next level. And so Invest Atlanta has set up a small business business loan. Businesses can can borrow anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000, 3% interest loan, so low loan there, and they don't have to repay it until after the event. So we're starting in August, we're told. And I had a chance to not only talk to Invest Atlanta about this, but also talk to a small business, a restaurant here in the Old Fourth Ward, Sweet Auburn area, to be more specific, a Caribbean restaurant called Misconduct. They've already identified ways that they think that this money that they're going to borrow can help them. Why don't you take a listen?
Going to allow us to fix some infrastructure things with our facility, as well as beautify our patio, which we're going to be utilizing a lot, especially during those match days. We have 8 big screen TVs, and we are also going to have a projector in the courtyard as well, so a lot of opportunity to watch the games. But we are, like I said earlier, we're doing more of an intimate setting. Think of like a box suite, but at Misconduct. So it's going to allow everyone to really have a good time.
This is one point in time, but how do we get businesses to leverage the opportunity that's here and then continue their growth after the games have left? And that is our objective. The process is still open. We have funds. We have several businesses in the pipeline today, and there is still money. So please go to the Invest Atlanta website to get all the information about the loan, www.investatlanta.com.
Again, businesses can borrow anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 in a 3% interest loan. That's a pretty good deal, and you don't have to repay it until August, so after the games have already begun. That particular business is really particularly interesting, being a Caribbean restaurant, because you know Haiti has already qualified for the World Cup and will be playing its group stage games here in Atlanta. Jamaica, if it makes the advances to the playoff round, they'll also be coming to Atlanta. So obviously you'll have the whole diaspora, not just folks of Haitian descent, Jamaican descent already here in Atlanta, but people from Florida, New York, and certainly from the Caribbean coming here to Atlanta. So this is a great opportunity for them for sure.
Yeah, so many Caribbean folks here in Atlanta, Kevin, and it's wonderful to think that they might have a spot. Obviously, there are many spots here in the metro area for them to go to, but knowing there's one right here in the city like that that's trying to beautify and spruce it up for the World Cup. I mean, having so many visitors from around the world can put eyes on your business, and with social media, all it takes is a viral TikTok or social media moment because someone was maybe really impressed with what you did, and your entire situation as a small business owner changes.
Yeah, you called it. I mean, they're using it to work on some infrastructure issues, but because they want to try to get like a suite type atmosphere and give you a kind of intimate sort of feel. But other businesses, obviously, when you talk to Invest Atlanta, they plan on using it for marketing. And so that's going to be really interesting. And that's something that obviously, if you strike while the iron's hot, you can really take your business off to another level, because the goal is not just to do this for the short term, but for the long term, really ignite these businesses across the area.
Kevin, real quick before I let you go, curious if someone's listening to this with their small business and they're like, oh my goodness, I have to take advantage of this loan. Is there a deadline? I know that Eloisa did speak about it a little bit, but is it limited to people just in Atlanta? Is there a deadline to apply? Any other details like that you could give us real quick?
Yeah, these are Atlanta-based businesses, and there is a deadline, but unfortunately, I've forgotten it off the top of my head. We'll continue to check on that, and I'll get you that information, because we do have more on this story coming up on Fox 5 News at 5, which you can catch on air, and of course, here on Fox Local Atlanta.
Perfect, Kevin. Thanks so much. It did put you on the spot, and I know you've got a lot going on, so I really appreciate it. But thank you. We will get that information, of course. People can continue to watch or right here on Fox Local, fox5atlanta.com. Kevin, I'll let you get back to it. Thanks so much for joining us live. I appreciate you. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, you guys, we have some news stories upcoming. I want to let you know about a food drive that was held earlier today to help our veterans. Eli Jordan went out and visited. That's coming up. Welcome back in, everyone. I have some breaking news I want to update you guys on because we're learning that the Falcons have fired their assistant coach, LaTroy Lewis. Now, he's only worked for the Falcons for 17 days, but I want to get into why this has happened. He was an assistant defensive line coach, and he's been dismissed just 2 weeks, really, after his hiring was announced. Team officials have stated they were aware of allegations made against Lewis, and they've spent Friday morning, really this morning, gathering that information before making their decision to terminate him. Lewis was a former NFL player and joined the Falcons after coaching stints at Toledo and the University of Michigan. And that's really where these issues come into play because he faces some sexual misconduct allegations back in 2024 in Michigan, and Ann Arbor police are investigating this. But as a result of those allegations and the ongoing investigation that's underway, the Atlanta Falcons have announced that they have made the decision to terminate LaTroy Lewis from the Falcons coaching roster. So we'll keep you updated if anything changes, but wanted to let you know about that as soon as we learned it. In the meantime, here, we're going to switch gears and get out to a food drive that was designed to help our veterans. Our Eli Jordan shows us about this effort.
Hey, I'm in Riverdale at the Riverdale Town Center where a food drive has been going on today, and it's been real busy. Things are going quick, and they're about to run out of stuff, if you ask me, and I think they have run out of some of the meats and stuff, but I am with organizer, Mr. Charles Jenkins. Hey, Charles Jenkins, how are you doing today?
How you doing, Eli? I'm doing great, sir.
Hey, thanks for talking with us today. So tell me, this is an event that you do throughout the year, correct?
Yes. This is an event that we do once a quarter, and this year, for the first one, we're doing it with the city of Riverdale Town Center here, and this is our best place to come, simply because of the staff that they have here. The director they have here is Ms. Williams, and we just partnered saying we're going to do other things. So I can do a food giveaway here each month if we had the product. But yes, this is one that we do once a quarter.
And you've been doing this for about 5 years. We'll walk on down this way and get some shots.
5 years.
5 years. And so what has compelled you to do this? I mean, you've organized this.
Right. Well, you know, I'm a veteran, and I retired in 2013. I have a daughter that died of cancer. So when I retired, I wanted to do something in her honor, and that's what C stands for, Chanel, and S is Sarah, my mother, M is Marguerite, my mother-in-law. They're the Foundation Angels. But during the pandemic, no one was going to church, no one was doing anything, and I prayed, Lord, what do you want me to do? You know, I wanted to do a foundation. We did golf, but we can't golf, and he gave me CSM Angels Refuge on January the 12th, 2021. And we've been serving ever since.
And tell me, what kind of response have you gotten?
Oh, the response has been great because we've been doing this for 5 years, and we're all volunteer staff organization. No one in the organization is paid, and we continue to get volunteers. Each time we go out, it just continues to grow. But we've been intentional about that, but we've applied for some funding this year, and hopefully this will be our year of Jubilee.
Now, real quick, if somebody wanted to help out with funding or find out when your next drive is going to be, where can they go?
They can go to csmangelsrefuge.org. Again, csmangelsrefuge.org, or they can call me at 470-317-4459, and it will show our events that we have coming up. That's our webpage. You can donate, you can come out and volunteer, because this is not only what we do. Our primary mission is to go out into the streets and help those that are displaced and are homeless, and what we do is we be a representative for them to receive shelter, and we help them with that process. Even when we go, they don't have ID, we bring them to these volunteers that we have out here today, Department of Driver Services, which is out here today helping us out, and they are a key supporter to our organization and for the success we've had. And then also, once a family comes out of they come out of a hotel or come out of a shelter, we come back and they get permanent housing. We deliver furniture to them free of charge.
Well, that's cool. That's really good.
Yes.
I guess csmangelsrefuge.org. And tell me, you got a lot of volunteers out here.
Yeah.
How important is the volunteers? You got some volunteers from out of state here, don't you?
Yes, we got several volunteers from out of state. I got my cousin Dennis and Nadine. They're down there at a tent. They were at the protein tent. They came in from Maryland. And then we got Pastor Thomas. He came in from Massachusetts, and him and his group. So, and then we got the brothers of Omega Psi Phi why they're always out here supporting, and I'm a member of that organization as well.
And so it looks like this has gone fast. I mean, you guys have already run out of the protein, which is the big deal, isn't it?
Right. Well, you know, normally, and sometimes we don't have protein. That's a big need for us. But we're still serving, and we let the folks know exactly what we have left, and they'll come through, and we're giving out everything that's here.
CSMAngelsRefuge.org.
Yes.
If anybody wants to set up donations for giving you guys food or funding, or funding. If they need help,
clothes as well. You know,
awesome.
Underwear is a big need for us for the homeless out in the streets, and we provide tents, sleeping bags, and shelters as well when we go out into the community.
Awesome. Well, Charles Jenkins, thank you so much. That's what's been going on out here today. And if you missed it, you can always go to CSMAngelsRefuge.org for the next one, because this is a quarterly event, and they do more than just food drives. So check it out, CSMAngelsRefuge.org. Yes. Back to you guys.
Awesome, Eli. Thanks so much for letting us know how we can get involved and help our veterans. We do appreciate it. And as we continue here, we're going to be switching gears at 3 o'clock coming up. We've got a lot of things to talk about. We're going to be going inside the courtroom with our Ray Urena to talk about what has happened with Colin Gray's testimony. Also speaking with our Rob DiRienzo a little bit later on about metal detectors in schools after an incident at a local school district. All of this and more coming up at 3 o'clock. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here at 3 o'clock on your Friday afternoon. Wonderful to see you here. We've got a lot to get to, so let's get into it. One of the stories we're following involves Colin Gray taking the stand in his own defense. If you've been following along, he has been accused by prosecutors of not doing enough to prevent the mass shooting that happened at Appalachia High School back in 2024. We got to hear a little bit about the home life as he testified on the stand today, and our Ray Urena was there in the courtroom. And Ray, I understand the defense has really been trying to poke holes in this testimony, showing that maybe there was more Colin Gray could have done. Take us inside.
Yeah, that's right, Ariel. And this morning, Colin Gray was testifying mostly his version of events in the years and the months leading up to the Appalachia High School shooting that killed 4 people and wounded 9 others. But in the afternoon, the prosecution, they went on the attack to try and discredit his statements. And now Colin Gray says that when Colt Gray was about 12 or 13 years old, he says he took his son shooting deer hunting for the first time, describing him as a good kid kid multiple times during his testimony. He says doing outdoor activities like hunting, fishing, and playing golf was his way to bond with his son and to reduce his screen time. During cross-examination, District Attorney Brad Smith says Colt had an IEP for behavior starting in 1st grade and showed he was suspended multiple times for behavior in 6th grade. Prosecutors also focus on the Jackson County Sheriff's Office visit to the Gray home when deputies contacted Colin about a tip the FBI had received about Colt possibly being involved in a school shooting threat. Gray testified that an investigator told them they, quote, didn't see an issue with Colt, and if there was anything further, they would reach out. It was this testimony that led to one of several back and forth discussions between the district attorney and Gray.
They were asking you if Colt could have been the person that was talking about murder on a computer, and you had information, whether you got it at the time or got it later, you had information that Colt had once searched murder on a computer, and you did not share that with them, did you?
They did not tell me directly, Colt.
My question, you did not share that with them, did you?
Which part?
That Colt had once searched how to kill you on a computer.
I did not.
Right now, cross-examination is still ongoing in the courtroom just behind us, and we'll bring you the latest testimony coming up at 4 o'clock. Ariel?
Yeah, Ray, it's really interesting to watch this unfold because we saw how emotional he was and how the defense was showing his version of events, right? Kind of how you said. And then now that the defense, or rather the prosecutors, are doing their cross-examination, it's like the air in the room has flipped, and it's really tense as they're trying to poke holes in his testimony. Is there anything personally, you've covered this trial for a few days now, anything personally that stands out to you that you think will be interesting in this case?
I think mainly it's the tone that has kind of been brought on by District Attorney Brad Smith when it comes to this cross-examination, Ariel. That's been the most interesting to me, just hearing his tone throughout, the proceedings today. He's been very direct. He's been asking multiple follow-up questions to every little detail that Colin Gray said in his direct testimony, which lasted the entire morning. You can tell he was very thorough in his notes, but it's also the jury. We've seen them paying attention a lot today. Some were leaning forward, others were leaning back, others were kind of tilting their heads sometimes at a statement that maybe they heard, and others were looking down, looking at a split screen, perhaps looking at a monitor. I couldn't tell from where I was sitting, but they looked like they were also taking notes on what Colin Gray was saying. But it's just the fact-by-fact check that the prosecution has been doing throughout the afternoon. We're going at about 2 hours now that cross-examination has been going on. So it's been that back and forth you heard. It's been about 2 hours of that back and forth between the district attorney and Colin Gray, Ariel.
Remarkable, Ray. Really quickly before I let you go, I know we've talked about how the jury is sat back and maybe behind a panel to be kind of secluded there in the courtroom as they watch the testimony unfold. Based on what you were kind of saying, it seems like from where you're sitting there in the courtroom, you can't actually see the jurors.
Yeah, where the jurors are not able to be visible through a panel, that's just for privacy reasons. But yes, if you sit all the way towards the front, that's where the media were asked to sit. You can see some of the jurors, and we have been able to see some of their faces coming up and seeing like their reactions to some of the testimony. But for the most part, it looks like all of the jurors have been paying very, very close attention. They've been solely, their eyes mainly is what I've been noticing. Their eyes were mainly focused on Colin Gray, not so much the defense attorneys or the prosecution. They've been mostly focused on Colin there, Ariel.
Ray, thanks so much for letting us know what has been unfolding today. I know this is going to be a long Friday, and we're going to see more testimony as it unfolds, and we'll learn a little bit more later if the defense plans to call any further witnesses in the trial. So, Ray, I'll let you get back in the courtroom. Thanks so much for joining us and letting us know where things stand this afternoon. As we continue here at 3 o'clock, I want to let you know about a story we've been following here in our newsroom, which involves a shooting on Greenleaf Greenleaf Circle. And this is in southwest Atlanta, and it really ended with a woman shot in her neck and now fighting for her life. It unfolded when a gunman fired 15 to 20 rounds inside of her home there on Greenleaf Circle. And despite her injuries, this woman was actually alert when she was rushed to the hospital. Atlanta police are investigating the scene. They're not sure if this is targeted, if the woman knew the person who did this, but at this point, it happened on the 4300 block of Greenleaf Circle southwest there in southwest Atlanta. And our Angelique Proctor, who was on the scene earlier, said you could see those bullets fired there into the home, and no other houses there on the block had the same issue with gunfire. So it seems that this house was targeted, but for why, we don't know, and we're working to get more information from police. In the meantime, a shooter is still on the run after a 7-year-old child was shot and killed. Absolutely heartbreaking. You're taking a look at Zoe Price, the 7-year-old girl who was shot Tuesday night just before 10 o'clock. Police believe that a couple people were arguing outside of her home on Tiger Flowers Drive, and ultimately bullets went inside of the house and struck not just her, but also her mother in her ribs. Zoe Price's mother, Cassandra Irvin, had that bullet lodged in her ribs, was rushed to the hospital, and ultimately survived. She's been discharged from the hospital as of now, but ultimately police are trying to figure out who did this, who's responsible. This situation has been so tragic for so many in our community. The Atlanta police officers who were there on the scene rushed the child to the hospital because there just wasn't enough time to wait for an ambulance. And as a result of this, a lot of the police officers involved have had to seek emotional and mental help because of the trauma that they endured trying to solve and be a part of this situation. So keep that in mind. The community is rallying around this family. A local funeral home has already stepped up to try to take care of little Zoe Price, but ultimately the family has put up a GoFundMe. If you'd like to support them during this horrible time and this tragedy, we have that on our website if you'd like to do more. I also want to let you know about a couple stories that we're continuing to follow that are really significant, because we have seen a lot on social media and just talking here within the newsroom about this crazy story unfolding with the University of Georgia, where social media influencers tried to confront an instructor for alleged inappropriate behavior with a minor. Well, now we've learned that that instructor has fled the country, according to the University of Georgia. Take a look at a statement that the university put out. They had actually removed that professor, and police were going to conduct an investigation based on these allegations of inappropriate predatory texting with a minor. But now they say the individual involved in this incident has been terminated from employment by the university and barred from campus. But our investigation determined that the instructor, who was working with on a limited term contract with UGA, fled the country late Tuesday. And so now, even despite this, the University of Georgia's police department is investigating the case, and they're moving forward with a criminal investigation. On Wednesday, UGA police executed a search warrant at this instructor's Athens residence and recovered additional evidence. They're encouraging anyone with any information to contact UGA PD as they try to investigate. But ultimately, this situation unfolded where social media influencers confronted this individual, and police were not present for that confrontation. So police are having to go back and interview these influencers to try to understand what they may know. We have not released the name of this instructor as a news agency here at Fox 5 Atlanta. If that person is charged with a crime, we will do so. So if you know this instructor's name and wondering why we're not saying it, that's why. They need to be charged with a crime first. As we continue, I want to let you know, switch gears here for a little bit, and talk about something that unfolded in Cobb County. Canine actually got hit by a car apprehending a bank robbery suspect. We were talking about this story with our Doug Evans, and now it sounds like this canine is back on duty, Doug, which seems like a good bit of news to start the Friday off with.
Hey, good afternoon, Ariel. Yes, it's Friday, and I got to do a police canine story. It doesn't get any better for me. Listen, we're talking about canine Robbie here at the Cobb County Sheriff's Office. As Ariel just said, back on February 9th, he was in hot pursuit of a bank robbery suspect who was running away from the getaway car that he had just wrecked during a police chase. Robbie was hit by a car. But then got up and continued to chase the man down and caught him and he was taken into custody. He's here at the Coweta County Jail right now. So Robbie's back on duty. He's doing good. He had some bumps and bruises, was off for a while. I caught up with him and his handler, Hunter Spradlin, at a canine exercise here in Coweta County at an old hospital this afternoon. And you want to see what a big, strong boy this canine Robbie is? Let's watch this clip together.
Show me your hand, do it now! On faith. Show me your hand, do it now! Stop, sorry, I got it. Off you.
And again, this is a training exercise you're watching.
No, I need you to put your hands up or send the dog. Put your hands up or send the dog. I need to tie my shoe. Who runs?
All right, so Hunter sends the dog, and the dog jumps over the furniture there and engages in this with this suspect played by a deputy. And man, that is a big dog. That is a big, strong dog right there. That's canine Robbie. His handler is Hunter Spradlin, and got to see him in action this afternoon in this training exercise. And that exercise is designed, Ariel, to create a lot of noise, a lot of confusion. The handler has to get, with his voice, get on top of all that noise and give the commands that the dog knows and understands and reacts to. And so that's one of the things that they're working there in these close quarters. You have a lot of people yelling and screaming and things like that, and then the Spradlin has to send the dog, and then you see the dog engage with that person. So back on February 9th, there was a bank robbery here at the Regions Bank. Deputies were right on it, man, and pulled in behind the guy almost immediately as he left the bank, got into this big wild pursuit. He crashes his car in the big retail district here in Coweta County, jumps out. Hunter Spradlin and K9 Robbie were right there. They're among the people that start running after this guy. Spradlin releases the dog goes after the suspect, gets hit by a car, and then gets up and then eventually captures the guy. So back on duty today, as you just saw.
Remarkable, Doug. You know, watching that training, it seems so chaotic, and it's kind of scary to watch, because I think about, what if that dog were to come for me? It is a rather large animal, like you said. You know, you put yourself in those shoes. I don't want to see the mouth of that thing headed my way. But I do understand, you know, they're trying to create this chaos for the training purpose.
Well, and he's on a muzzle.
Yeah,
So that's good. Big, strong leather muzzle. So I'm right behind Hunter and Robbie with my camera, right?
Okay.
And he's off leash. Robbie's off leash. I'm right behind him. As this thing gets wild and crazy, man, I start backing into the bathroom and getting out of the way, because I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun to go to these canine exercises. Over the years, I've been given great access to these here in Coweta County, and it's always very interesting to see how these dogs are trained, what's expected of them, and the good job that they do here.
It's remarkable, Doug, to see, and I think it's really interesting to get a look at this up close and personal, and good that you were able to show that to us. I'm glad that the dog's okay. Really, more than anything, I think what strikes me is just the bond between an animal and its human, and how we can train them to do some really incredible things. So, Doug, thanks so much for bringing this to our attention. I appreciate your time this afternoon. I'll let you get back to news gathering, but maybe if you see this canine for us again, you can give him a bone on our behalf. As we
absolutely.
Sounds good, Doug. As we continue here, I'd like to switch gears. Let's talk about some national news, okay? Because there's something unfolding here in New York that has a lot of people talking, and we're of course speaking about the House probe into the Clintons. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton warmed the seat yesterday, and today former President Bill Clinton is testifying in an unprecedented closed-door deposition over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. This is an unprecedented event because it has been quite some time since a former president actually has testified before lawmakers. Now, Hillary Clinton told lawmakers yesterday she did not know Epstein, never flew on his plane, nor visited his island. Photos and flight logs tell a different story for Bill. He has testified under oath today in the House Oversight Committee's Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and with photos like the ones you're seeing here, lawmakers have a lot of questions. Congressman James Comer says that Hillary deferred a lot of questions to Bill Clinton today, so lawmakers' inquiries for Bill have increased. It is extremely rare for a former or sitting president to testify before Congress. Like I mentioned, Bill Clinton's the first president to do this in 40 years. Democrats are hoping this is going to set up a new precedent and make it difficult for Republicans to explain why they're not deposing President Trump, whose name is also included in the files. I'd like to let you take a listen to Congressman James Comer, who's the chair of the House Oversight Committee. I will tell you that after 6 hours of questioning of Hillary Clinton yesterday, lawmakers appear no closer to understanding how Epstein got away with his sex crimes for decades. And Bill Clinton today did tell lawmakers that he has no knowledge of Epstein's crimes, that he saw nothing and did nothing wrong. And while flight logs do show that Bill Clinton used Epstein's plane, there's no clear evidence that Bill Clinton went to Epstein's island. And so I'd like to let you take a listen now to what James Comer had to say earlier this morning.
No one's accusing anyone of any wrongdoing, but I think the American people have a lot of questions, and our House Oversight Committee is committed to getting answers. We're committed to transparency. We've already seen a lot of very powerful people who have been held accountable by having to resign in disgrace from various boards all over the world. We're going to continue to seek the truth, try to figure out how the government failed the victims, and try to hopefully hold more people accountable. Yesterday, Ms. Clinton deferred a lot of questions to her husband today. There were at least a dozen times when she said, "You'll have to ask my husband that. I can't answer that." So we already had a big portfolio of questions for him, and that increased yesterday. So we look forward to that. Well, I think everyone's seen there are a lot of photos that have been released by the Department of Justice as well as the Epstein estate. There are a lot of email correspondence that included President Clinton. We know President Clinton had, and Secretary Clinton confirmed this yesterday, Jeffrey Epstein was in the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president. We know that Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 27 times. So those are questions that we're going to ask. Everything that most media outlets have reported with respect to pictures and correspondence between Epstein, Maxwell, and Bill Clinton, these are all questions that we're going to ask today.
So because we're seeing testimony from former President Bill Clinton today, House Democrats say this isn't the only person they want to speak to related to Epstein. They want to see President Trump testify before lawmakers. So Democrats on the House Oversight Committee continue to call for President Trump to testify before them. Take a listen to what some of them had to say earlier today.
We have real questions that deserve serious answers from former President Clinton, and we have said from day one that Democrats want to talk to anyone, whether they are a Republican or a Democrat, no matter how powerful they are, whatever position that they've been in. If anyone has information about Jeffrey Epstein, and certainly the horror that he inflicted on so many women and children, we want to hear from them. What we do not want today is a sideshow and questions about UFOs or about conspiracy theories from decades ago, which is what unfortunately happened yesterday when a series of bizarre questions were asked of Secretary Clinton. And Secretary Clinton was clear. She never met Jeffrey Epstein. She never went on the island. She was never on the plane. And she had no knowledge, of course, of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. We are now asking and demanding that President Trump officially come in and testify in front of the Oversight Committee. He appears in the Epstein files next to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell almost more than anybody else. So it's time for the president to answer questions about why files are missing from the DOJ, why there's been a White House cover-up, and why we continue in that administration to call this investigation a hoax. We are demanding, again, that the press and the public be allowed inside the depositions so that you can hear the answers and the questions directly. And if that's not going to happen, they need to release a full, unedited review of the questions and video within 24 hours of the end of these depositions. That means that the Secretary Clinton deposition needs to be released immediately today.
So you can hear Congressman Robert Garcia calling for the transcripts and videos of the depositions of both Hillary and Bill Clinton to be released. We know those are expected to be released publicly once they're approved, but ultimately the Clintons have not been accused of any wrongdoing, nor have they been charged with a crime, but House lawmakers are continuing their inquiry trying to figure out what they may know. And we've seen, because of the release of the Epstein files, a series of ripple effects across the nation. Multiple other countries and entities have opened their own investigations based on their leaders or people within their government or businesses being involved to Jeffrey Epstein. And this latest probe involves the European Union now calling for an investigation into former British ambassador Peter Mandelson. You may remember he was arrested in Great Britain actually last week, and now the European Union wants its own investigation. They are looking into his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, and the EU wants its anti-fraud office to run the investigation. Mandelson's ties to Epstein were while serving as Brussels trade representative, and they threaten actually the leadership of Britain's current Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and that's because Keir Starmer appointed Mandelson to the position of UK ambassador despite warnings of Mandelson's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. We have already seen heated back and forth in the House of Commons in Great Britain as lawmakers have gone at Keir Starmer over his appointment of Peter Mandelson. The EU has yet to confirm this official investigation with its anti-fraud office, but we'll keep you updated as anything changes. I also want to let you know about an important story that's unfolding with the Pentagon. Something that we've seen happen involves a really historic step on behalf of the Pentagon. Axios is now reporting on this developing story where the Pentagon is taking its first step to blacklist Anthropic. Now, in case you're not sure what Anthropic is, it is the parent company of Claude, currently the only open AI model, or the AI model rather, running the military's classified systems. So Anthropic runs Claude, and Claude's the AI model that our U.S. military uses. It was used during the operation to capture Venezuela's leader Nicolas Maduro, and through Anthropic's partnership with Palantir, it could also be used foreseeably in a potential military campaign with Iran. So our United States military is increasingly using artificial intelligence, but here's where the tension comes in. The Pentagon's been impressed with Claude's performance, but they want Anthropic to lift its safeguards and let the military use it for, quote, all lawful purposes. Anthropic, however, says that it does not want Claude to be used for mass surveillance on Americans or to develop weapons that could fire without human involvement. The Pentagon is insisting that it's not workable to have these individual use cases with Claude and Anthropic. So during a tense meeting on Tuesday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei a deadline to agree to the Pentagon's terms by 5 o'clock Friday. So really this afternoon, the Pentagon wants Anthropic to agree to its terms. But again, Anthropic does not want its artificial intelligence models to be used for weapons fired without human involvement nor mass surveillance of Americans. As a result, the Pentagon has asked two major defense contractors to provide an assessment of their reliance on Anthropic's model Claude, and this could be a first step in designating it as a supply chain risk. This matters because that penalty is usually reserved for companies from adversarial countries like China's tech giant Huawei. So using it to punish an American tech firm, particularly one with which the military itself is currently very reliant on, would truly be unprecedented. So we're going to continue to keep you updated as this story progresses. But in the meantime, I'd like to bring you back a little closer to home. We're going to get a check of your weather forecast coming up here next. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live within our 3 o'clock hour on Fox Local. It's great to have you streaming live with us. And if you're wondering what to expect for your weekend weather forecast, meteorologist Jonathan Stacy has that on deck for you. Sounds like it's going to be a weekend you don't want to miss.
The weekend is upon us, and so is sunshine, but it may not look like it's going to come out tomorrow morning because we're going to start out the morning with a thick deck of clouds. However, as day turns into afternoon, or as morning turns into afternoon, the sunshine will be on full display. Temperatures warming up into the high 60s, and they will up the ante, crossing the 70-degree threshold for Sunday to reach a high of 74 degrees with plenty of sunshine to start, and then some clouds moving in on the back half of the day. So as we kick off a new month, where should we be for this time of the year? Well, we're going to reach into the mid-70s for Sunday, which is the first day of March, but typically we should be around 72 degrees for our average high. So we're going to have high temperatures for the first day of the month that are some 10 degrees plus above average. By the middle of March, we should be around 66, and then we should be ending the month with a high temperature of 70 degrees. However, that's the way we're going to start, and likely going through the first couple of weeks of the month, we're going to maintain above average temperatures, and that is a regime that will take over the entire United States, but specifically looking at the southeastern United States for not only warm temperatures, but some pretty steady rainfall coming out over the Ohio River Valley from the Great Lakes and reaching down south, and it looks like North Georgia will be on the fringe of what will be higher than average rainfall amounts for the month of March. In terms of your high temperature for today, we'll hold it at 66 degrees. A couple neighborhoods up to the north sneaking into the higher 60s and lower 70s. The average high for this time of the year is 61 degrees. As we move through the afternoon into the evening, a couple isolated showers could fall from those clouds that just won't go away. I'm not concerned about those. Most of us will stay dry, and those dry conditions will take us into Saturday. Once again, you'll have a thick layer of cloud cover tomorrow morning, maybe some mist and maybe even possibly some pockets of fog, but they don't stick around for long. Things are going to change fairly quickly, and we'll be able to capitalize on some sunshine and some warm air to end the month of February. The low temperature to start the morning, 50 degrees. Some neighborhoods, especially outside of the city where there are a few clouds, dropping down into the mid-40s, but then the day turns around on the dime. We'll look for high temperatures by the time we get to the afternoon to be in the high 60s up across the northwest section of the state. We'll look for those numbers to easily come into the 70s. But once again, everybody joins the 70s for Sunday. That's everybody everywhere with plenty of sunshine. By Monday, clouds are back in control, and they'll douse temperatures a bit. We'll look for highs next week somewhere in the high 50s to the low 70s.
Well, Jonathan, sounds like a wonderful weekend, one we won't want to miss, so thanks so much for that. As we continue here at 3 o'clock, I want to tell you about the latest in the search for Nancy Guthrie, because we actually are getting new information from some more video that's been released, and it's actually new Ring video camera. Take a look. So basically, this Ring camera in Arizona caught a number of cars passing by on the morning of the suspected abduction of Nancy Guthrie. The footage was taken from a doorbell camera of a home about 7 minutes away from Guthrie's house. It shows 12 cars passing between midnight and 6 a.m. on February 1st. Some of the activity happened around 2:30 in the morning. That's about the same time that police believe the 84-year-old's pacemaker device last synced with her phone. Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, is believed to have been taken from her bed during a home invasion. Police have not publicly identified any persons of interest, suspects, or vehicles connected to this case, but the search has dragged on for 4 weeks now, and we're officially nearing that 1-month mark as of this weekend. So if we learn any new details, we'll keep you updated. But this new video is curious as investigators try to figure out more on DNA evidence and other clues to try to figure out who may have taken her. I also want to let you know, as parents, about a new feature from Instagram. So Instagram's rolling out new search alerts for parents that will let you know what your children may be searching for. So if your child searches for a specific term, In theory, Instagram can alert you. Instagram announced this new safety feature for when teens repeatedly search for suicide or self-harm terms. Instagram's parent company Meta issued a statement that said in part, quote, "These alerts are designed to make sure parents are aware whether their teen is repeatedly trying to search for this content and to give them the resources they need to support their teen," end quote. Now, they require that both parents and teenagers enroll in Instagram's parental supervision tools to be able to have these search alerts. But parents who receive the alerts are going to see a message explaining their teens concerning Instagram search habits. And Meta says the new safety feature analyzes teens' search history to identify terms related to self-harm and proactively notify parents of concerning searches, send alerts via text, email, and you can also opt in for ad notifications or app notifications as well. And one thing Instagram also wants to do is provide experts resources to help navigate sensitive conversations. But these alerts are going to start rolling out next week in the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada. It is interesting to note that this conversation is ongoing, and Instagram's really rolling out these alerts as a landmark trial regarding social media use is currently underway on whether or not social media is designed to be intentionally addictive and its harm level to kids and teens. A young woman is suing tech giants, claiming that that social media, she became addicted to it at an early age, and internal memos actually show from Meta that they were aware of just how addictive their sites were and didn't do anything to curb it. So that's something to keep in mind in the backdrop of all of this as Instagram rolls out these alerts. We'll keep you updated on that trial. It is a landmark trial because how jurors decide that case could have bearing on how future cases regarding social media use are decided. Coming up, speaking of children's safety and making sure our kids have what they need to succeed, one concerned group of parents is taking their demand for metal detectors all the way to the state level. Our Rob DeRienzo is going to join us live to talk about this, what lawmakers are saying, and why parents want this, coming up next. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live with us at 3 o'clock. A group of parents in Hall County is demanding weapons detectors inside their schools. Now, the deputies say yesterday an 8-year-old brought a handgun to Myers Elementary School. You may remember when we broke that news right here on Fox Local. And this discussion comes as State House representatives just approved a bill mandating weapons detectors inside every single Georgia public school. So, Fox 5's Rob DiRienzo's at the Capitol and joins us live to discuss this. Rob, it sounds like a lot of parents, and cannot blame them, really are looking for peace of mind here.
Yeah, Ariel, this is such an emotional topic, especially as you mentioned. Everybody's watching the Appalachia school shooting trial right now, so a lot of people are concerned about school safety. I want to show you Myers Elementary School, that school you touched upon a moment ago in Hall County, which was the focus of a massive law enforcement response after an 8-year-old reportedly brought a gun to school. Now, district officials say that 8-year-old didn't necessarily have ill intent, but they were tipped off that individual had a gun, and they quickly searched him and found that to be the case. And as you mentioned, as all of this is going on, there is a lot of discussion surrounding school safety, and could these metal detectors make a difference in the case of, say, an Appalachia or another, God forbid, shooting down the line? Now, I spoke with a Hall County parent. Her name is Candace Williams. She started Moms for Metal Detectors. Take a listen to what she had to say about yesterday's incident.
Shock. How can an 8-year-old child bring a weapon into a local Hall County school, Myers Elementary, get away with it, and that incident be discovered by a fellow student, not by administration, not by the school teachers? It was discovered by the student.
On Tuesday, the State House approved a bill that would require every public school in the state to have some sort of weapons detection system at their main entrance. And we heard a lot of passionate debate from both sides of the aisle when it comes to this. I want to take you inside the meeting where all of this happened. Take a listen.
This bill is the next step to ensure that every parent, every grandparent knows that when they drop their child off at school in the morning, they're going to be able to pick them up safely at the end of the day.
Metal detectors are not a victory. They are an admission that we have failed somewhere else, an admission that the adults in the room have not done enough to stop the danger before it reaches the front door. Some will say this is dramatic. Tell it to the families who buried their babies.
Now, Ariel, it's important to mention some school districts like Gwinnett County have already taken upon themselves to install these weapon detection devices in school, whether they're metal detectors or AI detection systems that can essentially trace or identify what could be a potential firearm. So at this point, again, a lot of emotion on both sides of this issue. This bill now heads to the state Senate for final approval before it can head to Governor Brian Kemp's desk. So there are a lot of lingering questions, especially who will pay for all of these systems across the state to be implemented, especially in these smaller school districts with less resources. But it seems as if the state legislature wants to provide some more funding in that regard. But that is an open question because this essentially becomes an unfunded mandate. Of course, everyone wants their child to be safe at school, but the big question here is how it will be paid for. Ariel.
Rob, I so appreciate that context, because my thought was, okay, so this passes, it seems to have bipartisan support. Where does that leave us? You know, does the state then go to work trying to make sure every public school gets a medical detector? What does that look like? So understanding where that money come from sounds like it's a key part of this. Have you heard of any opposition to a bill like this? You know, I know it has passed the House, and you mentioned it's going to the Senate next. We heard from a couple lawmakers on both sides who were for it. Have you heard of anyone who opposes it for any reason?
Well, you heard State Rep Bryce Berry there express his concerns that this really doesn't address the underlying issue, which he believes to be a gun culture and an open access to guns. So he wants to push for more stringent gun control, which he thinks will essentially address the school safety issue. And again, there are also other Democrats who are just worried about the funding for all of this. So those are going to be the debates, especially as it gets to the Senate floor.
Rob, good to know, and especially interesting, too, because that Hall County parent, Candace Williams, as she pointed out, that gun was found because the child allegedly showed it to another child at the school, which, you know, I know a lot of parents probably just start to spiral and think, what if that had never happened and someone else maybe got a hold of that weapon, or it could have accidentally gone off? So many what ifs. So I can understand why parents really want these systems to try to make sure their kids are safe.
Of course, and then, of course, with the Colin Gray trial going on, we're seeing this new video of Colt Gray apparently walk into school with that gun concealed with a poster board. We see it clear as day on the video. The question is if metal detectors or weapon detection systems could have identified that and stopped him in his tracks before he went on to kill those 4 souls that day.
Great point, Rob. Yeah, how many tragedies could we prevent if these systems are in place? What does that look like? Thanks for keeping us updated. I'll let you get back to information gathering. No doubt you'll keep us informed as this progresses. So Rob DiRienzo, thanks so much for joining us live. I appreciate you. As we continue here at 3 o'clock, I want to continue keeping you guys updated on some stories we're following. Coming up next, we're going to take you out to Decatur, where, as we've talked about how our city is preparing for the FIFA World Cup, there's a huge event that's going to be put on. No doubt we're going to see these events happen all across our city. And one is looking for volunteers to get involved, to be ambassadors for Atlanta and the FIFA World Cup, show people around. We're going to talk about how you can get involved coming up next. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here with us live this afternoon. As we gear up for the FIFA World Cup, Decatur is looking to host WatchFest 26, where it's going to support a series of events all surrounding the World Cup, and they're really looking for volunteers to support this effort. So I'd like to bring in Andrea Arnold, Decatur City Manager, to speak about this. So Andrea, thanks so much for being with us. I understand you're looking for upwards of 350 volunteers.
That's right. We're looking for at least 350 or more volunteers to come out and just help us welcome the world during the Decatur WatchFest 26 event. It's 34 days of watch parties and concerts, and so there'll be lots of volunteer opportunities from being ambassadors, helping out with the concerts, and helping out with the watch parties and other special events during the time.
So how, for people who are unfamiliar, when does WatchFest start and when does it end? What does that entail?
Yes, it starts with the opening of the FIFA World Cup on June 11th. And on that day, we're going to kick off the event with a concert by Big Boy. So we'll definitely need plenty of volunteers for that day. And then we're going to wrap up on the last day of the FIFA World Cup tournament. We're going to close it out with Decatur's own Indigo Girls on July 19th.
Oh, I love it. Local and hyper-local. Wonderful way to celebrate what Decatur has to offer. So if someone's listening to this and they're saying, you know, that sounds right up my alley, I'd love to volunteer, give us a little bit of an overview. You mentioned already just high level some of what people would be doing. What do you expect the day-to-day work to look like? Any restrictions for people who volunteer, time constraints, certain days of the week? What are the logistics like?
Yeah, certainly. So we are asking people to go out to the Decatur Watch Fest website. And so that's DecaturWatchFest26.com. And you'll be able to find that volunteer information there. And when you go in, you log in, you're going to register your interest, and you'll also let us know what day or days you're interested in volunteering. So it can be as simple as you're available just for one day during that time, or maybe you've got multiple days that are available, but you will share that information with us, and then we'll be sure to get you to work.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks so much, Andrea, letting people know how they can get involved and really support our city and this effort. And I think what a cool way to show Decatur to people who maybe haven't even visited the United States before. So really unique opportunity. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us live. I really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Okay, guys, as we continue here at 3 o'clock, we're going to switch gears because I'd like to take you out live to Brook Haven because they are doing something really unique. They are offering free wedding ceremonies of all things. And our Eli Jordan went out to go check this out. Eli joins us live. Eli, is a wedding unfolding right now? What's happening?
All right, so Judge Brian Ramos, who is the chief municipal court judge here in Brook Haven, is, asking the final questions before he does the whole ceremony with Mel and Maria, and they're about to get married. They've been together for 22 years, and Mel told me today it's about time, but this is the first time for Brook Haven. They have never done this before, and it's kind of like Forever Fridays that Fulton County used to do. They quit it, but I'm not going to be in here the whole time because I'm going to give them respect and not talk over the ceremonies. But this is what happened. It's really cool, and this is Judge Ramos's idea. He's like, what a better way to form bonds and trust with the community, and it's a good way to transfer the courtroom from enforcing laws and issuing fines to forming families and developing bonds of a different kind. And so there's been about 6 couples have been scheduled here today. Actually, they had 7 couples scheduled, but one couple backed out, I guess, cold feet supposedly. But you can see they've been coming in here since 3 o'clock, and this is going on until 5. They got booked. And as far as this going on, doing this, repeating, like I said, this is the first time for Brook Haven. But will they do this again? They're not sure. They're going to see what the community response is. But Judge Ramos seems to be very excited, and I believe he's making sure that no one's under duress during this ceremony that's about to happen. But it's been really neat. I've seen several couples come through here and do the ceremony, and there's not too many people in here, but every time they get, they kiss, the bride and groom give each other a kiss, we kind of start applauding. 3 or 4 people in here applauding and saying congratulations. It's a lot of fun. And this is Mel and Maria about to tie the knot. But I spoke to them earlier today, and this is what Mel had to say.
Fantastic. For sometimes the people don't have the money for pay the cost, So this is great because have the opportunity to marry here, and this is fantastic, man.
Are you guys nervous?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'm still married. I still with my wife for 22 years, but I never do this process. Right now is the time, and I feel a little nervous right now.
So after 22 years, you're finally tying the knot.
Yeah, it's time. It's time.
Your choice to value patience
And here they are after 22 years. They're tying the knot. Here at the Hearts of Haven is what they're calling this. Mel and Maria are finally getting married after 22 years. I'm going to step back here so I'm not too loud, but that's what's going on here, Ariel. The Hearts of Haven, complimentary weddings happening here in Brook Haven for the first time in municipal court. And it's a good way to spend a Friday. Back to you.
Yeah, absolutely precious. Seems like a wonderful way to spend a Friday, and it makes me chuckle to think that he's nervous to get married after 22 years with her. It's cute, you know. It's like, oh, he loves her clearly and wants it to go well and wants to be there. So it's neat to see this. Neat that we got to hear from them, and now we're getting to see part of their ceremony.
Do you take Maria Luz Adriana to be your spouse, to stand with her through all of life's challenges and joys, to be patient in times of
stressful,
faithful in your love, honest in your words and in your actions, and committed to building a life of shared trust, compassion, and respect for as long as you should?
He said yes.
It's so quiet I could barely hear him say it, but I hear the judge. I hear Judge Ramos asking if he will.
To be patient in times of difficulty, faithful in your love, honest in your words and actions, and committed to building a life of shared trust, compassion, and respect for as long as you should have.
She said yes.
You repeat after me. I'm going to go.
Oh my, I'm getting emotional.
I need them to kiss already, Eli.
I take you to be my spouse. I take you to be my spouse. Okay. To stand with you and walk beside you. Okay. To support you in success and in struggle. To listen with patience. And speak with honesty. Yeah. To choose you every day. From this day forward. Okay, good. It's okay, you do great. All right. I'm looking at it for you and say, Maria, I take you to be my spouse. To have and to hold. In joy and in sorrow. In abundance and in need. In health and in illness. To love and cherish. For as long as we both shall live. Having declared your intentions and exchanged the vows before these witnesses and your family in this court is satisfied and delighted. With the authority vested in me as a judge in the state of Georgia, I now pronounce you married, and you may seal your vow with a kiss. Congratulations.
3 weddings here at Brook Haven today for Hearts of Haven. First time for Brook Haven.
I love
it. Municipal Court and Judge Brian Ramos. And hopefully they'll do this some more because this has been an uplifting thing to witness. And it's, you know, as much as I don't like marriage, I think this is cool. This is fun. And
Eli, it's a great way to spend a Friday.
It's a good way to spend Friday.
Yeah, I love that they were able to seal their vows with a kiss right as we get ready for our 4 o'clock newscast to begin. Sometimes the timing's not in our favor, and it was today, so I love that. It's a good omen for the weekend. Wishing them nothing but love and success. Already together 22 years, so I wish them much more than 22 as they continue on their journey. Eli, really appreciate you for bringing us out to Brook Haven for this and allowing us a little bit of some happy news for a Friday. So Eli, I'll let you get back to it. Maybe chat with them as they talk about what's next. Who knows? Maybe they have a little honeymoon planned. And as we continue, you guys, I'm Ariel on Stott, thanks so much for being here live. The news is going to continue at 4 o'clock.
Fox 5 News at 4.